Welcome, traveler. Tonight we begin a journey into a distant past, medieval England, a place of stone towers, narrow streets, and the ever-present tolling of church bells. Before we begin, take a deep breath and settle into a comfortable position. Feel your body sink into the bed. Let the day slip away as you step into another world. You awaken in the year 1202 in the northern city of Lincoln. The air is cool, damp with morning mist, drifting across cobbled lanes. From your window, you hear the cathedral bells calling the faithful to prayer. Life stirs below, market stalls being set, carts creaking over stone, the scent of fresh bread mixing with the harsher smells of the city. Lincoln is no small village. 7,000 souls call it home, yet whispers say crime lurks in every alley. Murders, robberies, brawls, and yet only a few ever meet the hangman. You rise slowly from your straw pallet in a drafty room above a tavern. Hungry, stranger, alone. And as the morning unfolds, your choices will shape your place in this harsh but fascinating world. The morning air is crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke and damp stone. You step into the street, your stomach aching with hunger. Merchants shout, calling buyers to their stalls, while apprentices haul baskets of bread, fish, and cloth. You pause near an apple cart, the fruit gleaming in the light. For a moment, the thought of slipping one into your hand tempts you. But then your eyes lift to the city's edge, where a wooden gibbet stands in grim silence. A body hangs there still, tattered by time and birds, swaying softly in the wind. A reminder of what happens when hunger drives hands too far. Thinking of trouble, are you? A voice rasps near your shoulder. You turn to see an old man, his beard gray, his eyes sharp. He nods toward the gibbet. That's the price of theft in Lincoln. You protest lightly, recalling the numbers. So many murders, robberies, yet only 2 executions. The old man chuckles, dry as leaves. Some get away, until they don't. Steal from a baker, and his guild will chase you. Cross a merchant, and his kin will never rest. Here, it isn't only the sheriff you fear, it's the people. His words sink heavy as your hunger twists again. You follow the flow of townsfolk into the market. The square hums with life, voices overlapping, chickens darting between feet, the scent of bread and salt fish heavy in the air. A nobleman strides through, silk tunic gleaming, and the crowd parts without hesitation. Yet, nearby, a ragged beggar is shoved aside by a baker's apprentices, their voices sharp. Away with you! No begging here. The beggar mutters as he stumbles off, while you notice eyes turning toward you too. Your strange clothes, your uneasy stance. In this world, even being a wanderer can mark you as dangerous. Your stomach growls again. A burly man hefts barrels onto a cart nearby, his brow damp with sweat. Desperation pushes you forward. Need help? You ask. His eyes weigh your worth. At last he nods. Strong enough. A penny and a meal if you load with me. The weight of the barrels bites into your palms, rough with scraping skin, but the promise of food steadies you. When the work is done, he keeps his word. A coin pressed into your hand, and a bowl of thick pottage with coarse bread at a tavern table. Not luxury, but enough to fill your belly. The tavern fills with townsfolk as dusk nears. The air grows warm with ale, laughter, and the rattle of dice. At a nearby table, men speak in hushed tones. William the tanner, one whispers, accused of stealing a silver goblet, carried a red-hot iron bar for the ordeal. Another leans closer. His hand blistered. Guilty. They'll hang him soon. You shiver. Trial by ordeal. Trusting God to protect the innocent. Soon it will be abolished, but not yet. For now, the fire, the iron, and the rope decide fate. When the tavern quiets, you face a choice. With your penny, you could lie among strangers on the floor, or seek steadier ground. The innkeeper nods toward a wool merchant, Geoffrey, who often hires strong hands. Tell him what sent you, the man says. You follow the advice through darkening lanes, each shadow-heavy, until you find the merchant's house. A shop in front, dwelling behind. A wary apprentice greets you, then disappears. Soon, a man appears, stern, shrewd-eyed. You seek work, Geoffrey asks. Jeffrey's gaze lingers. I have wool arriving tonight. Worth more than thieves would dare ignore. Guard it till morning and you'll earn 3 pennies, plus lodging. You nod quickly. The task seems simple, yet his words hold weight. Wool fetches a dear price, he warns. Lose it and you'll answer to me. As the city gates close, the cart arrives, driver and guard weary. Wool bales are secured in the yard, and Jeffrey places you beside them. Stay sharp. The night is long. The hours pass slowly. The guard takes first watch, leaving you to rest against the rough bales. Midnight comes with a drizzle of rain, and it is your turn. You pace quietly, ears straining. Then, footsteps. 3 figures emerge from the gloom, cloaked and hooded, one with a crowbar glinting in the lantern light. You clear your throat. I wouldn't try that. They pause, but the largest steps forward, mocking. 3 of us, 1 of you. The odds seem fair. Before the standoff breaks, a window slams open. Jeffrey's voice thunders into the night. What goes there? His servants rush into the yard, torches flaring. The thieves hesitate, curse under their breath, and vanish into the shadows. We'll remember you, stranger, one calls before retreating. Jeffrey joins you, eyes grim. It grows worse every month. Thieves bold as wolves. The sheriff's men too few, and some no better than rogues themselves. His sigh is long weary. Tonight, you've earned your pay, but also his trust. Dawn creeps in, gray and damp. Jeffrey presses coins into your palm and shows you to a storeroom with a pallet. You've proved yourself, he says. Stay and you'll have steady work. Better than wandering. His offer carries more than food and shelter. It promises safety, a place within the tangled web of this city. As you sink into rest, exhaustion pulls at you. Yet the gibbet, the thieves' laughter, and the old man's warning echo still. The bells wake you once more. Outside, a crowd gathers, voices buzzing with excitement. The warrants, a woman explains. A family of thieves caught at last. You join the throng, following as the siblings are dragged in chains to the market square. Their crimes are listed aloud. Stolen cloth, stolen garments, stolen goods by the dozen. The crowd murmurs, eager for justice. Yet as the trial begins, something shifts. Witnesses falter, their words grow vague. When the jury is called, they declare the warrants innocent. Shock ripples through the people, though none seem surprised. Nearby, 2 well-dressed men whisper. Another purse of silver well spent. The jury knows which side feeds them. The other smirks. The sheriff pretends to hunt them, yet they're always warned. Their words open your eyes wider. In this world, justice is not always blind. It can be bought, traded, or stolen as easily as a purse on a belt. An older man, his face etched with lines, shakes his head beside you. First time seeing the warrants slip free? It's been years. They bribe, they share their spoils, they warn each other. Even sheriffs, even judges, are not above coin. His voice lowers. Why, the king's own justice, William Thorpe, was jailed once for taking bribes. Corruption runs deep. You nod silently. In this city, the rope hangs heavy for the poor, while silver buys freedom for the clever. Shouts cut through the square. Stop thief! A man bolts past, clutching a purse. Immediately, the crowd surges. The hue and cry is raised, every hand, every voice joining in. You run with them, drawn by urgency. The thief darts for the church door, sanctuary in sight, but stumbles. Rough hands seize him, dragging him back. A lady points firmly. That's him. He cut my purse. The thief protests, but the evidence lies in his hand. A bystander explains quietly, almost casually. If the purse holds more than 12 pence, he'll hang. Less, perhaps just a hand lost. The words chill you. Here, the measure of a life is counted in silver coins. The thief's shoulders slump as he is led away. Yet as he struggled, something fell unseen, a small wooden token carved with a dagger crossing a key. Curious, you pocket it quietly, feeling the weight of mystery press into your palm. Back at Jeffrey's house, you share what you've seen. He shakes his head. 2 sides of justice. The poor thief will hang, yet the warrants walk free. Such is our time. Then his gaze sharpens. I have more work. A great shipment comes tomorrow, richer than last night's. My son Richard will meet it with you. 6 pennies if it reaches us safely. But beware. Gangs prowl the roads. His tone leaves no room for doubt. This task carries danger. Later, alone in the storeroom, you study the token. The carving is crude, yet clear, dagger and key entwined. A guild mark, perhaps, though not of merchants or bakers. A guild of thieves. Your thought lingers when Richard enters, friendly but keen-eyed. We ride together tomorrow, he says, pressing a dagger into your hand. Its blade is plain, its handle worn, but sharp enough. Best be ready. The roads are never safe. His smile is quick, then gone. Darkness brings unease. As you lie on the pallet, the sound of soft steps reaches your ears. You remain still. A whisper comes. I know you're awake. Don't move. A shadow crouches near, voice low, unplaceable. The token. Where is it? Slowly you produce it. The intruder snatches it, pausing only to murmur, it's a thieves' guild mark. Losing it brings punishment. You spared that man. Take care, stranger. And remember, the North Road is watched. Send the wool east. Then they vanish into the night. Sleep evades you. Dawn comes with Richard at your door. You confess the warning, though not the token. His face hardens. A trap, perhaps? Or a friend we cannot see? Geoffrey frowns, pacing. At last he decides. Leave by the north gate, but take the western fork, circle back east. If they watch one road, you may slip them on another. Soon, you ride out with Richard at your side, ponies steady beneath you, the misty fields opening beyond the city walls. The road ahead feels heavy with unseen eyes. The ponies step steadily along the damp earth track. Mist hangs low across the fields, softening hedgerows and distant church spires. The morning feels hushed, broken only by the creak of leather and the muffled clop of hooves. Richard rides slightly ahead, watchful. These roads are busier than they seem, he murmurs. Indeed, shapes stir in the fog, peasants carrying baskets, a monk leading a donkey, a cart piled high with firewood. Yet every rustle in the hedges sets your hand drifting toward the dagger at your belt. Danger lingers unseen, waiting beyond the gray veil of mist. Not far ahead, a cart lies crooked across the road, one wheel shattered, its cargo of barrels spilling into the mud. A man waves his arms. Help! My goods! Richard pulls his pony to a halt, eyes narrowing. Strange, he mutters. Too neat. Too sudden. You study the scene, the wheels splintered clean as though struck, not worn. In the hedges, you glimpse movement. Too swift, too careful for a farmer. The old man's warning echoes back to you, not only the sheriff, but the people. Here, danger wears any face. From the hedges, figures spring forth, for men cloaked and armed. The cart man drops his act, drawing a cudgel. Richard reacts at once, spurring his pony forward. Ride, he shouts. The ponies lunge, hooves splattering mud as the robbers close in. A hand seizes your bridle, but you swing the dagger downward, and the grip loosens with a cry. Barrels tumble, mud churns, shouts rise. At last, the road clears, and the ponies gallop free, hearts pounding in their chests, breath steaming in the morning air. You do not slow until the mist thins, revealing open meadowland. Richard reins his pony hard, eyes flashing with anger and relief. They knew we would come, he says darkly. Someone whispered of Geoffrey's wool. A traitor or a spy? He steadies his breath, looking at you firmly. You handled yourself well. Without you, we might be lying in that mud. The words weigh heavy, not only praise but recognition. Already, your role grows deeper, your path tangled with merchants, thieves, and the uncertain hand of fate. By midday, you find a small chapel by the roadside. The monk within greets you kindly, offering bread, ale, and shelter. His walls are bare, his life simple, yet his eyes seem to hold quiet strength. As you eat, he listens to Richard's tale of thieves and wool. The monk nods slowly. The world grows restless. Hunger makes men bold and justice grows weak. Yet remember, even in darkness, kindness can be found. His words rest in your mind as you leave, renewed in body, though wary still in spirit. Fields stretch wide as you continue east, hedges low and the air clearer now. Yet you sense something unseen. A crow circles overhead, its cry harsh. Then from a ridge, you glimpse a solitary rider, distant but unmoving. Richard sees him too, tightening his grip on the reins. Not a farmer, he mutters. Too still, too patient. The figure lingers for a time, watching before turning away. Whoever they were, the message is clear. Your journey is marked, your steps measured by eyes that keep their distance, yet never truly leave. By evening, you reach a small outpost village, where traders and guards gather before the long road south. Geoffrey's contact, a burgher named Osbert, greets you warmly. "You've done well," he says, inspecting the wool bales. "We feared ambush." Richard nods grimly. "Ambush came. We broke free." Osbert's face pales. "Then it spreads wider than I thought. Someone feeds them word." His household offers you both supper, fish stew, coarse bread, watered ale. Safety for a night, though the weight of danger has not lifted. Later, as the household sleeps, Osbert draws Richard and you aside. He locks the shutters, lowers his voice. "The thieves grow bold because they are shielded. A guild, strong and cunning, weaves through Lincoln. They deal in stolen goods, bribe juries, and silence tongues. That token you found, yes, I know of it. The mark of their brotherhood." His hand trembles as he speaks. "I tried once to resist them. They burned my warehouse." He looks to Richard. "Guard your father well. His name is known among them." That night, uneasy sleep finds you. Dreams swirl of flames leaping high, smoke choking the air, shadows of men with hoods and knives circling like wolves. You hear laughter, harsh and cruel, and in the distance, the toll of the cathedral bells, slow and unyielding. You wake with a start, sweat on your brow. Outside, the night is still, yet the dream clings. It feels less like fancy and more like a glimpse of what may yet come, if this tangled path leads to its bitter end. Morning dawns bright, the road clear. With Osbert's blessing, you and Richard return to Lincoln, ponies burdened with smaller goods now. The city gates loom once more, stone arch and iron-banded doors, guarded by weary men-at-arms. Inside, life swirls as always, children chasing geese, merchants calling buyers, bells tolling across the rooftops. Yet to your eyes, everything feels different. The alleys seem narrower, the faces sharper, every shadow holding a threat unseen. The city that once welcomed now watches, as though measuring your next step. Geoffrey greets you with rare warmth when you return, clasping his son's shoulders, then yours. "Well done," he says, voice heavy with gratitude. "The wool is safe, and that is no small thing." Yet when Richard tells of the ambush, his joy fades. So bold? In daylight? Then they have grown fearless indeed. He sits heavily at the table, rubbing his temples. The thieves grow stronger, the law weaker. I must choose carefully, or my household will be the next to suffer. His eyes turn toward you. And you, stranger, must choose as well. Later, you wander through the market, listening to the hum of voices. News travels swiftly here. "Did you hear?" a woman asks. "A cart attacked near the East Road." Another nods. The thieves grow bold. Even merchants whisper of guilds. Others shrug. "It matters little. We buy, we sell, we live. Let nobles and sheriffs worry." Yet one man leans close to his friend. "Mark me, a reckoning will come. The city cannot serve two masters, the law and the thieves." His words linger as you drift on. Evening brings you again to the tavern. Dice rattle, ale spills, songs rise. Yet you notice figures in the corner, cloaked, quiet, watching. One raises a cup toward you in silent acknowledgement. Another traces a finger across his throat before grinning. The message is clear. They know you. They have seen you. The token, the road, the wool, all has marked you in their eyes. You leave quickly, the warmth of the tavern fading behind you, replaced by a chill that no fire could banish. Richard waits outside, concern shadowing his face. "They watched you, didn't they?" he asks. You nod. His hand grips your arm tightly. "We cannot face them alone. My father believes strength lies in trade, in coin, in honest work. But against such foes," his voice falters, "I do not know if it is enough." He looks away, toward the looming cathedral towers. "Perhaps God will guard us. Or perhaps, like the ordeal by fire, he will let us burn." His words reveal more than fear. They reveal doubt that faith alone will shield them. The next day, the sheriff himself rides through the market, banners fluttering. At his side, men-at-arms clatter with mail and spears. He calls for order, declaring new levies, new fines, new taxes. The people grumble, yet none dare resist. Beside you, a butcher mutters. He takes his due, but turns a blind eye to thieves who pay. Another nods. The sheriff fattens himself. Justice? Bought like a side of beef. As the sheriff rides past, his gaze sweeps the crowd, lingering on you a moment longer than seems chance. That evening, Geoffrey gathers his household. "We are watched," he says, his voice steady though his face is grave. "The thieves have set their eyes upon us." The sheriff lines his purse. "If we stand idle, we will be swept away." His words fall heavy. "So I will not stand idle. I will send word to allies beyond Lincoln. Merchants, guildsmen, honest men who yet remain. We will need strength and courage." His gaze lingers on you. "And you, stranger, must decide if you stand with us or drift back to the shadows." Later that night, as you sit in thought, a knock comes at the door. A figure cloaked and masked slips inside. Without a word, he places the carved token on the table. "You carry what is not yours," he whispers, "but you bear it well. Remember this, the guild sees, the guild judges. Choose carefully, for once chosen, the guild does not forget." Then he vanishes, leaving the token behind once more. It rests there in the candlelight, small, simple, yet heavier than gold in its meaning. Richard finds you staring at the token. His voice trembles with urgency. "Throw it in the fire," he urges. "Destroy it before it marks you forever." Yet even he hesitates, knowing what that might bring. "Or keep it, and you may walk their path, if not already walking it. But if you do, know this, you will never walk free again." His plea is not only for you, but for himself. For if you fall into the guild's grasp, his family may be next. At dawn, the cathedral bells ring heavy across the city, their tones slow and solemn. Word spreads swiftly, another hanging in the square. You walk with the crowd, drawn as though by unseen thread. There, a thief swings from the rope, his face pale, his body still. The people murmur, some satisfied, some silent, some uneasy. The executioner wipes his hands, and the sheriff's men watch with cold eyes. In this place, mercy is rare, and justice wears many masks. You wonder, as the bells toll on, which mask will be yours. That evening, Geoffrey speaks quietly. "A messenger rides tomorrow, carrying word to my allies. Richard will go with him. I ask you to guard them, for I fear the guild will not stay idle." His eyes search yours. "This road will shape your fate. Stand with us, and you may make enemies you cannot number. Refuse, and perhaps you slip away, though even then, the guild may not forgive." The fire crackles, shadows dancing across the walls. Tomorrow, the road divides. And with it, your place in this world. Dawn breaks pale and cool. The messenger arrives at Geoffrey's door, a young man with a serious face and leather satchels strapped tight. Richard greets him warmly. "We ride together," he says, and then turns to you. "And you guard us." Geoffrey clasps your shoulder once more. This road carries not only words, but trust. See them safe. Outside, ponies are readied, hooves shuffling against cobbles. The city gates open to morning light, and once more you pass beneath the stone arch. Behind, Lincoln bustles. Ahead, the wide, uncertain road beckons. The first miles are gentle, the fields stretching broad, dotted with sheep and low cottages. The messenger speaks little, his eyes fixed on the horizon. Richard hums a tune now and then, though his hand stays near his dagger. You ride together in near silence, letting the rhythm of the ponies soothe the nerves of the morning. The air carries the scent of grass and distant hearth fires, simple reminders of peace. Yet beneath the calm, the memory of the thieves lingers, like a shadow you cannot shake. By midday you reach a fork in the road, one path broad and well-trodden, the other narrow, weaving through woodland. Richard studies the signpost, weathered and leaning. "The wide road is faster," he says. The messenger frowns. "Too open. Easy for eyes to follow." You sense both choices hold risk. The woodland may shelter ambush, the broad road may betray your path. Finally, Richard nods toward the trees. Better hidden than hunted. You guide the ponies beneath the branches, where light falls soft and dappled. Within the woods, the air cools. Shafts of light pierce leaves above, dappling the path in gold. You pause near a stream, letting the ponies drink. The messenger kneels, splashing water across his tired face. Richard offers bread from his pouch, and for a moment, peace returns. Birds sing overhead, leaves stir gently, and the sound of flowing water soothes your mind. Yet in the stillness, you notice it, silence too deep beyond the clearing, as though the forest itself holds its breath. A sudden snap of twig shatters the calm. Figures burst from behind the trees, cloaked and masked, weapons drawn. The messenger cries out, clutching his satchel, but Richard pushes him behind. "Ride," he shouts. You leap to your pony as the thieves rush forward. Steel clashes, hooves pound, branches whip past. One man seizes at your cloak, but you drive your pony hard, breaking free. Ahead, Richard and the messenger dart down a narrow path, and you follow, the shouts of pursuit ringing through the trees behind you. Branches scratch, hooves thunder, shouts echo, then fade. At last, you burst from the trees into open meadow, the sun low in the sky. The ponies gasp for breath, their flanks dark with sweat. Richard looks back, relief in his eyes. We lost them. For now. The messenger still clutches the satchel, trembling. They knew, they waited. You study the meadow behind, empty now, yet you feel their eyes linger even beyond sight. Safe but not secure. Escape but not freedom. The forest still whispers of danger. That evening, you find shelter in a farmer's barn. By the fire's glow, Richard presses the messenger. What word do you carry that thieves would risk so much? The young man hesitates, then loosens the satchel. Within, sealed letters lie, their wax stamped with the marks of powerful guilds. Allies, he explains quietly. Merchants and burghers, weary of thieves. They plan counsel to resist together. Richard's eyes widen. If this is found, the messenger nods. Then all who resist may burn. Silence falls heavy with the weight of what you guard. The farmer, an old man with stooped back, brings bread, cheese, and a jug of small ale. His wife lays blankets on straw pallets. Rest easy, she says gently. The road is cruel enough without hunger. Richard thanks them warmly, pressing a coin into the farmer's hand. But the man only shakes his head. Keep it. Better you reach your end safely. His kindness warms the chill of the night. Yet as you lie awake, staring into shadows above the rafters, you cannot help but wonder, who can be trusted when silver tempts so many? Morning brings a troubling sight. Far across the fields, a column of smoke rises into the clear sky. Richard reins in his pony, his face grim. Too thick for hearth fire. A house, perhaps, or a store. The messenger frowns deeply. If Osbert's words were true, then this is their work. Fire and fear, their mark upon the land. You ride nearer, but keep distance. The smoke coils higher, black and choking, a warning for all who resist. The thieves' message burns across the countryside, unspoken yet clear. By midday you reach a small priory, stone walls rising calm above the fields. The monks welcome you kindly, offering bread and pottage, water for the ponies, and a night's shelter. Within, the air is hushed, filled with the scent of beeswax and herbs. One monk, older, listens to your tale, then shakes his head. I have seen such men. They thrive in times when law bends. Yet every kingdom rises, falls, and rises again. Do not despair, shadows do not rule forever. His words are soft, yet steady, like a hand resting upon your shoulder. As the others sleep, you wake to quiet movement. Voices drift from the cloister, monks speaking low. More raids, one whispers. Merchants robbed, villages burned. Another sighs. And the sheriff? He fattens yet does nothing. Their words fade as footsteps retreat, but unease lingers. Even here, in stone walls and prayers comfort, the thieves' reach is felt. You lie awake long after, the candle stub flickering faintly, until at last, exhaustion pulls you into uneasy rest. The next morning, bells toll softly as the monks bid farewell. Richard clasps the elder's hands, promising gratitude. The ponies carry you onward once more, hooves steady on dirt roads. The land spreads wide, green and gold under the rising sun. The messenger speaks little, his face set in resolve. You watch the horizon, knowing each turn, each mile, may bring friend or foe. Yet for a time, the journey feels lighter, carried by the memory of kind hands and calm voices within the priory's walls. By late day, you reach a small roadside inn, its thatched roof low, its stable bustling with weary travelers. Inside, warmth and noise spill across rough tables. Merchants, drovers, pilgrims alike. You eat stew thick with barley, sharing ale with Richard while the messenger writes notes by candlelight. Yet not all is ease. A man in the corner, scarred and watchful, keeps his eyes fixed on your party. You sense his gaze, steady as stone, lingering long after you look away. As you prepare to leave, the innkeeper, a stout woman with sharp eyes, pulls you aside. "Take care," she murmurs. "That man in the corner? He's Guild. I've seen his kind before. Best be gone before night." Her warning chills you, though she smiles kindly, pressing bread into your hand. "Safe roads, stranger. And keep your satchel close." Outside, the air feels heavier, the shadows longer. The road waits, but so too do the unseen eyes of the Guild, never far behind. That night, camped by the roadside, Richard leans close. "We cannot fight them all. We need allies." "But who?" The messenger shakes his head. "Even monks whisper, farmers watch, innkeepers warn. Who among them dares stand against thieves?" Silence falls, broken only by the crackle of fire. At last, Richard looks to you. "Then perhaps the choice is ours. Who will we trust? Who will we fear?" The flames flicker, painting shadows across his face. The night deepens, the road ahead uncertain, the weight of decision pressing ever closer. As the fire dies low, a voice drifts through the night, soft, steady, carrying an old ballad of kings and lost battles. A figure approaches, cloaked, with a lute slung across his back. "Fear not," he says gently. "Only a minstrel, seeking warmth." Richard hesitates, but the man smiles kindly, settling by the fire. His song fills the night, soothing yet mournful. When he leaves, he bows. "Safe roads, friends." Yet no, not all who sing are harmless, and not all who steal are wicked. His words linger long after his footsteps fade into darkness. Morning rises clear, dew sparkling across wide meadows. Birds scatter as the ponies tread softly, the air fresh with grass and earth. The messenger, calmer now, hums fragments of the minstrel's tune. Richard glances at you. Perhaps he was true, or perhaps he watched for others. You nod, knowing either may be so. Still, the light eases your heart. For a brief moment, the road feels safe, the dangers of night held at bay by the gentle hand of daybreak. By midday, smoke greets you again, not distant, but close. A hamlet lies charred, cottages blackened, roofs fallen. Chickens peck among ashes, yet no voices rise. The messenger dismounts, face pale. They've struck here too. Richard kneels, lifting a broken toy from the dirt, a child's carved horse. His hand trembles as he sets it down again. Silence smothers the place, heavy with absence. You move on quickly, the smell of smoke clinging, a bitter memory that will not fade. On the road ahead, a rider approaches, alone, cloaked, face shadowed. Richard's hand drifts to his dagger, but the man raises a palm. "I mean no harm," he calls. His horse is weary, his cloak stained with travel. I bring word. The guild grows bold, but some of us resist. He glances at the satchel knowingly, though no one has spoken of it. Guard it well. If it falls, more than merchants will burn. Before questions can be asked, he spurs his horse, vanishing into the distance. As the rider disappears, Richard exhales sharply. He knew. He should not have known. The messenger grips the satchel tighter, lips pressed thin. If word spreads so far, the guild's eyes reach farther still. You ride on, thoughts circling. Each face, each word, each kindness might hide shadow. Yet you also recall the monk's blessing, the farmer's gift, the innkeeper's warning. Not all are corrupt. Still, unease grows heavier, like a stone you cannot set down. By evening, the road leads to a broad river, crossed by an old stone bridge. Its arches rise firm, moss trailing down into the water. Yet as you near, you see men upon it, 3, standing idle, yet not idly. Their eyes follow you, their hands too near their blades. Richard mutters low. Tollmen of their own making. The messenger swallows hard. The bridge cannot be avoided. Step by step, you draw closer, the river rushing below, the men waiting above. Stop there, one calls as you reach the bridge. His grin is wide, teeth missing. Passage costs silver. A purse or a bale? Choose. Richard bristles, hand on his dagger. This road is free. Laughter answers. The messenger clutches the satchel, silent but pale. The men advance, slow and confident. The river roars beneath, the arch narrow. There is no turning back, only forward. The choice rests heavy, coin, blood, or cunning. The bridge demands its toll, in one form or another. Before swords cross, hooves thunder from the far side. Riders appear, armed traders, 6 in number, returning home. At sight of them, the tollmen curse and scatter, vanishing into reeds below the bridge. The traders hail you warmly, offering escort across. The guild spreads like weed, one mutters. But together we choke it back. Their presence steadies your journey, and for once, the road feels stronger, safer, bound not by fear, but by shared purpose among honest folk. That night, you camp with the traders. Around the fire, they tell tales of markets, harvests, and distant fairs. Laughter rises, light and genuine, easing the burden of travel. One passes you roasted fish, another fills your cup. The guild thrives on fear, a trader says quietly. But fear fades when men stand side by side. His words carry simple truth. Watching their camaraderie, you feel hope stir, fragile but real. Perhaps the guild is not unbreakable. Perhaps unity can yet prevail. The next day, skies darken. Wind sweeps across the land, bending trees low. Rain begins, first gentle, then fierce, drumming on cloaks and hoods. The ponies trudge on, mud clinging to their hooves. Richard shouts over the roar, urging speed toward a distant village. The messenger shields the satchel, clutching it as though life itself. Lightning splits the sky, thunder rolls, the storm lashing harder. At last, roofs emerge, chimneys smoking, refuge in the heart of the tempest. The village inn glows warm against the storm. Inside, the fire blazes, filling the air with heat and smoke. Travelers huddle, shaking rain from cloaks. The innkeeper, broad and cheerful, serves stew and ale, his voice booming above the storm. Richard relaxes at last, shoulders easing, while the messenger scribbles notes by the fire. Yet in the corner, a man watches quietly, eyes sharp. You meet his gaze, and he raises a cup in mocking salute. Even in warmth, danger finds you still. Sleep comes uneasily. The storm rattles shutters, wind howls down chimneys, and dreams twist. You hear laughter, see flames, feel the satchel torn from your hands. Waking in darkness, you sit listening. Footsteps echo faintly beyond your door, then silence. No knock, no entry, only the storm. You lie back, though rest does not return. Morning feels distant, heavy with waiting, as if the night itself holds its breath. Dawn brings calm, the storm past. Villagers sweep water from thresholds, roosters crow, smoke rises fresh from chimneys. The innkeeper bids you farewell warmly, pressing bread into your hands. Safe road, friends. May the rain wash trouble from your path. His kindness lightens the morning, though shadows remain in memory. You ride on, the fields bright once more, the air clear, yet every crow's cry or rustling hedge keeps your eyes sharp. Peace seems fragile, a glass that may shatter at any step. By midday, dust rises behind you, riders. Richard glances back, face set. They follow. The messenger tightens his grip on the satchel, panic in his eyes. The ponies quicken, hooves pounding the road. The riders gain slowly, their shapes clearer now, cloaked, masked, weapons glinting. The guild has found you again. Richard calls over the thunder of hooves. There's a ford ahead. If we cross, we may lose them. The chase drives you on, hearts racing with fear and resolve. The river surges, shallow yet swift. Richard plunges his pony first, water splashing high. You follow, urging your mount through the current. Behind, the riders hesitate, cursing at the crossing. The ponies struggle, but the far bank rises firm, and at last you reach solid ground. Breath heaves, water drips, but you are safe, for now. Richard grins fiercely. Will not fall so easily. The messenger, pale and trembling, clutches the satchel close. The road stretches on, uncertain still, yet hope flickers like the sun breaking through storm clouds. Though the ford is behind you, the riders remain a shadow in thought. Richard glances often over his shoulder, eyes narrowed, yet the road lies empty. The messenger's grip on the satchel has not eased, his knuckles white, his lips pale. They will not give up, he whispers. Not with so much at stake. The sun dips low, casting long shadows across the fields. Your ponies plod onward, weary but steady, and though no sound of hoofs follows, unease lingers like a breath upon your neck. That evening, you find shelter among old stone ruins, crumbled walls overgrown with ivy, the remains of some forgotten manor. A fire crackles in the hollow of what was once a great hall. Richard sits with blade across his knees, sharpening slowly. These stones saw lords rise and fall, he murmurs. Perhaps they remind us that no power lasts forever. The messenger writes by candle, ink blotting on rough parchment. You rest against the cool stone, listening to the night owls calling, wind weaving through broken arches. As flames burn low, you sense movement among the ruins. A figure stands half seen, cloaked in darkness, silent. Richard rises, steel in hand. Who goes? No answer. The messenger hides the satchel behind stone. You rise also, heart steady. At last, the figure steps forward, not a thief, but a beggar, face thin, clothes ragged. Food, he croaks softly. Richard lowers his blade. Bread is given, water too. The beggar bows once, eyes hollow yet grateful, and vanishes into night. Still, your heart beats fast long after. Dawn comes heavy with clouds. The road narrows through hills, hedges thick on either side. Richard rides ahead, watchful. The messenger says little, his gaze fixed inward. At last he speaks. The letters I carry, they are more than guild secrets. They name names. Lords, sheriffs, men who profit from fear. His words hang in the air like thunder. If these reach safe hands, their power falters. If not, he does not finish. You feel the weight anew, not parchment alone, but the fate of many rests in cloth and wax. By midday, the hills close in tighter. A crow caws above, harsh and loud. Richard reins sharply, his eyes on the ridge. We are watched. You see them then, shapes among rocks, half hidden, bows raised. The messenger gasps, clutching the satchel close. A voice calls down. Leave the letters. Walk free. Richard spits in defiance. Never. The air holds still, waiting as though the world itself balances on this moment. Then, the twang of bowstrings breaks the silence. The hillside erupts, arrows hiss through the air, splintering against stone. Richard shields the messenger, shouting for cover. You urge your pony toward an outcrop, pressing low. The thieves' voices echo above, fierce and hungry. The messenger crouches behind his mount, clutching the satchel close, breath ragged. For a moment the world is only fear and flight, steel and shadow. Then, as quickly as it began, the rain of arrows ceases. Silence hangs heavy, broken only by the restless stamping of ponies. From the ridge, the leader steps forward, tall, cloaked, bow in hand. His voice rolls like thunder. The letters belong to us. Surrender and you live. Richard lifts his chin, defiant. You will never rule through fear. The messenger trembles, yet does not yield the satchel. You stand ready, blade in hand, though the distance is wide. For long heartbeats, no one moves. Then the leader lowers his bow. So be it. But know this, we fall day and night until you break. With that, the thieves melt back into the hills. The road lies empty once more, yet unease clings like mist. Richard exhales slowly, sheathing his dagger. They could have ended us. Instead, they choose to chase. The messenger nods grimly. To break spirit, not body. Fear is their weapon. You ride on, but each hedge, each hilltop feels alive with watching eyes. Even the wind seems to whisper of pursuit. Safety feels distant, as though hidden behind many unseen doors. Still, step by step, the ponies carry you forward into the shadow of uncertainty. Toward evening, you come upon a small roadside shrine, its stone figure worn smooth by rain and time. Flowers, wilted but fresh placed, lie at its base. Richard kneels, pressing hand to the cold stone. May strength guide us, he murmurs softly. The messenger lights a stub of candle, its flame wavering in the dusk. For a moment, the world feels gentler, the burden lighter. You breathe in the stillness, letting the calm settle deep, before once again mounting to ride into gathering dark. Camp is made by the hedgerow, a small fire shielded from the wind. Richard insists on watch, taking first turn with eyes sharp to the road. The messenger sleeps fitfully, clutching the satchel even in slumber. You sit awake beside the glow, listening to night sounds, the rustle of leaves, distant bark of a fox, the soft sigh of wind. Each sound feels louder than it should, each shadow deeper. And yet, beneath it all, the fire's warmth steadies you, holding fear at bay until sleep comes at last. Morning brings relief in sight of a town, walls low but sturdy, gates wide with trade. Merchants call, children chase dogs through muddy streets, the smell of bread fills the air. Richard smiles faintly. Crowds may hide us for a while. Within the market square, the noise drowns thought. The messenger lingers near scribes' stalls, eyes bright with longing to write freely. Yet even here, among honest trade, you sense shadows, men who watch too closely, hands that hover near dagger hilts. Within a narrow shop, an old scribe greets you, his fingers stained with ink. The messenger whispers, and the man nods gravely. Letters of weight should be doubled, copied in secret. Should danger take one, another may live. By candlelight, quills scratch across parchment, ink shining wet. The messenger exhales in relief. 2 sets now exist, wax sealed, hidden carefully. The scribe clasps your hands. Guard them well. The guild's grip is strong, but truth spreads deeper than fear. His voice carries both warning and hope. As you depart the town, laughter and noise fade behind. At the gate, Richard stiffens. 2 men stand aside, cloaked, their eyes sharp, their whispers following your party. They do not block the path, but their presence is enough. Once beyond, Richard leans close. We are marked. Even walls cannot shield us now. The messenger presses the satchel tighter. The road stretches empty ahead, yet you ride faster, hooves drumming like a heartbeat against the earth. The land opens wide upon a heath, rolling and windswept, heather stretching to the horizon. Clouds race above, casting shifting shadows across the ground. Here there is no cover, no trees to hide pursuit, no stone to shelter. Richard rides at steady pace, but his hand stays close to blade. The messenger is quiet, his eyes scanning every ridge. You feel small against the vastness, exposed beneath endless sky. Yet the air is fresh, the wind brisk, and for a moment, freedom tastes sweet, even beneath the weight of threat. That night, camped upon the heath, the fire burns small against wide darkness. Richard speaks low, steady. We cannot flee forever. If the guild hunts us, then we must meet them with courage, not only fear. The messenger shivers, but nods. These letters are not mine alone. They belong to all who suffer. If they are to reach safe hands, then I must be brave. His voice is quiet, yet firm. You feel resolve stir among the three of you, fragile, flickering, but alive like the fire that glows against the night. Morning comes pale and cold on the heath. The ponies move slowly, their breath misting in the chill. Richard leads with steady pace, while the messenger hums softly under his breath, as if to keep fear at bay. The sky grows brighter, gold edging across clouds, promising warmth. Yet even in beauty, unease lingers. Far behind, a crow circles, its cry sharp, echoing across emptiness. You ride on, watching the horizon, knowing each day brings both danger and chance. By midday you reach a crossroads marked by an old stone cross, weather-worn and moss-covered. Travelers gather here, drovers with cattle, pilgrims with staffs, merchants guiding carts. Richard halts, scanning each face. Crowds hide us, but they also hide foes, he mutters. The messenger clutches the satchel close. You linger, listening to murmured prayers at the cross, the steady shuffle of passing feet. For a moment, the place feels like the heart of the road itself, where all paths meet, where all fates intertwine. Among the travelers, a pilgrim greets you kindly, his cloak patched, his voice gentle. He shares bread and speaks of Canterbury, where relics draw faithful from far and wide. The world is dark, yet the road is long, he says. And those who walk together find light in company. His words soothe like balm, easing tension for a time. The messenger listens closely, eyes softening. Richard, though wary, nods in respect. When you part, the pilgrim blesses your road, a simple kindness that lingers like the glow of a candle. Past the crossroads, the road narrows between hedges. The air feels closer, the light dimmer beneath thick growth. Richard slows, his gaze sharp. Then you see them, two figures half hidden in brush, faces turned quickly aside as you pass. They do not move, do not follow, yet their presence weighs heavy. The messenger whispers, "They watch." Richard answers grimly, "Always." You ride faster, hooves quick upon dirt, eager to leave the hedges behind for open land once more. Toward evening you crest a hill, where an old wooden windmill turns slowly in the breeze. Its sails creak, steady and rhythmic, echoing across the fields. A miller waves from below, calling welcome. His family tends sacks of grain, chickens scratching at their feet. The messenger smiles faintly at the sight of ordinary life untouched by shadows. Richard, though cautious, accepts the offer of rest. For a short while, you sit among flour-dusted workers, sharing bread still warm from the oven, the air rich with the scent of grain. As dusk falls, the miller speaks low, his face grave. Travelers tell of raids upon villages near. Houses burned, folk scattered. The guild grows bolder. He gestures eastward. They seek not only coin now, but control, a hand upon every trade, every hearth. Richard thanks him, though his jaw tightens. The messenger bows his head. Then we carry more than letters. We carry hope. The miller presses food into your packs. Take it. You'll need strength more than you know. His words follow you long after night settles. Clouds gather heavy, wind sharp across fields. The ponies strain against it, their manes whipped wild. Thunder murmurs low, a warning of storm. Richard urges speed, but the road turns to mud, slowing your pace. The messenger shields the satchel beneath his cloak, though rain has not yet fallen. Lightning flickers on the horizon, brief but bright, revealing distant hills. You push forward, hearts tight, the air charged with both storm and unseen pursuit. On the roadside stands a cart, axles snapped, its goods scattered, barrels of ale, sacks torn. A merchant waves frantically. "Help, please." Richard halts, wary. The man's eyes dart too quick, his hands too loose upon his knife. The messenger whispers, "Trap." You see shadows among the hedges, movement too deliberate. Richard nods once, low. Ride. With a kick, ponies leap forward, hooves pounding. Behind, shouts rise, but you do not slow, not until the road bends and the danger fades into distance. As night falls, you find refuge in a small roadside chapel, its stones lit by a single lantern. The priest welcomes you kindly, his voice soft, his hands steady. Bread and water are offered, beds of straw laid within. The messenger kneels long in prayer, whispering over the satchel. Richard speaks little, though his eyes soften in the stillness. Within those walls, silence feels safe, the flicker of candlelight calming, a gentle shield against the harshness of the world beyond. Sleep comes, but dreams are troubled. You see flames rising high, letters torn and scattered, the guild's laughter echoing. You wake with start, the candle burned low, the chapel still. Outside, wind stirs branches, rattling against stone. Richard lies awake too, his gaze steady, as though guarding even in slumber's place. The messenger shifts, clutching the satchel tight. Night stretches long, restless yet quiet, until dawn's pale light seeps through small windows, promising another day upon the uncertain road. At dawn, the chapel bell tolls softly, a low sound rolling across the fields. Villagers arrive, carrying baskets of bread, milk, and cheese, offering thanks before work begins. The priest blesses each one, his voice calm, steady. You watch quietly, sensing the rhythm of life untouched, if only for a moment. Richard leans near, whispering, "Even in shadow, people endure." The messenger nods, drawing strength from the sight. When you depart, the priest clasps your hand. "Carry courage with you. The road is long, but you do not walk it alone." The path narrows into thick woodland, branches arching overhead, light filtering in green. Hoofs sound muffled on leaf-strewn earth. Birds sing high above, but beneath the canopy, shadows stretch long. Richard rides ahead, his hand near his dagger. The messenger shivers, muttering, "Too quiet." You hear it too, no children, no woodcutters, only wind and rustling leaves. The forest feels watchful as though each tree holds secrets. You ride slowly, senses sharp, waiting for what may lurk unseen. Within the woods, you come upon a clearing, ashes of a fire still faintly warm, scraps of food scattered, a cloak torn upon a branch. Richard kneels, frowning. Not long gone. Perhaps driven off. The messenger clutches the satchel tighter. The silence presses heavy. Then, faintly you hear it, distant hoofbeats, far yet nearing. Richard rises quickly. We are not alone. You mount once more, urging the ponies onward, hearts beating in rhythm with hooves upon earth. The hoofbeats draw nearer, voices echoing faintly. Richard calls, "Faster!" The ponies leap forward, weaving between trunks, branches whipping past. Behind, shadows flicker, riders darting through the trees, cloaks snapping in wind. Arrows thud against bark, close, too close. The messenger clings to his mount, face pale, satchel pressed tight. You ride hard, every breath sharp, every turn a gamble. The forest blurs around you, a maze of green and shadow. Still, you push forward, desperate for open ground. At last the trees thin, sunlight breaking through. You burst onto open meadow, hooves tearing the grass. Behind, the riders slow, unwilling to leave the cover of trees. Richard laughs, fierce with relief. They fear the open. The messenger sags in the saddle, trembling. You slow the ponies, breath ragged, eyes scanning the horizon. For now, you are free, though the forest behind still broods dark, hiding those who watch and wait. The road ahead stretches, uncertain yet blessed with open sky. Toward evening, you find a small cottage at the edge of the meadow, smoke curling from its chimney. An old woman greets you kindly, her hands rough with work. She offers milk and bread, her smile gentle. Rest, travelers. The road wears heavy. Inside, herbs hang from rafters, filling the air with calming scent. Richard thanks her, though he remains cautious. The messenger sits quietly, sipping warm milk, his shoulders easing for the first time in days. As the fire burns low, the old woman speaks softly. I hear whispers of men who burn and steal, Yet I also hear of those who stand against them. Letters carried, words written, truth spreading. Her eyes glimmer knowingly, though she asks no questions. Whatever burden you bear, keep it close. Shadows pass, but courage endures. Her words soothe, wrapping the night in gentle calm. You rest well, though Richard sleeps light, ever watchful even in peace. Dawn paints the sky gold as you ready the ponies. The old woman hands each of you a sprig of rosemary. For memory, she says, that you may not forget who you are. Richard bows his head respectfully, while the messenger tucks his sprig carefully into the satchel. You ride on, the cottage fading behind, its smoke rising into clear sky. The scent of rosemary lingers, fresh and sharp, a reminder of kindness found even on troubled roads. The road bends past a small village, where smoke still rises from charred beams. Houses lie broken, doors smashed, fields trampled. Few folk remain, gathering what little is left. A child stares hollow-eyed as you pass, clutching a broken toy. Richard mutters, "The guild's work." The messenger lowers his gaze, face pale. You ride faster, the weight of loss pressing down. The road feels colder, crueler, each mile marked by fire's shadow. That night, camped under stars, Richard speaks firmly. "I will not stand idle while they burn and steal. I swear to see these letters delivered, no matter the cost." The messenger nods, voice trembling but steady. "Then I swear as well. If fear is their weapon, courage must be ours." They look to you, waiting. The fire crackles softly, the stars wheel above, vast and eternal. In that quiet, your oath is added, unspoken perhaps, but binding. Together, the promise holds strong against the night. Morning comes with heavy mist, cloaking fields and hedges in pale gray. Hooves sound muffled, voices hushed by the damp air. Richard rides close, hand near his dagger. The messenger draws his cloak tight, the satchel hidden beneath. Shapes loom and fade, trees, cottages, distant figures carrying firewood. The road feels dreamlike, uncertain, as though each step may lead into shadow. Yet the mist also shields you, hiding your passing from eyes that may seek. Each breath tastes of wet earth and dew. Through the mist, faintly, a bell tolls. Not the clear call of a church, but slow, uneven, almost mournful. The messenger whispers, "A passing bell, for the dead." Richard frowns, urging his pony onward. Soon you see it, a small chapel by the roadside, mourners gathered, black cloaks damp with mist. A coffin rests before the door, simple wood, a sprig of rosemary atop. You pass quietly, heads bowed. The tolling follows you, fading with distance, yet lingering in thought like an echo of mortality. By evening, you reach a roadside inn, its sign creaking in the wind. Inside, warmth and noise replace the chill. Merchants sit at long tables, guards laugh over ale, dice clatter across wood. Yet beneath the clamor, you hear whispers. The guild seeks riders on the east road, silver promised for letters. Richard meets your eyes, grim. The messenger lowers his gaze, clutching the satchel tight. You eat quietly, listening, blending into the crowd while danger circles ever closer. Later, as you rise to leave, a serving girl slips close. Her voice is low, urgent. "They watch the stables. Leave by the back. Trust no man with a red cloak." She moves away before you can ask more, vanishing into the press of patrons. Richard mutters, "So even here their eyes reach." Outside, you follow her advice, slipping through a side yard, mounting your ponies in silence. The night is colder now, each shadow heavy with unseen eyes. The moon rises, pale and watchful, as you ride hard down the back lanes. Hooves strike stone, breath clouds the air. Behind, faint voices call, then fade. Richard leads swiftly, cutting across meadows, through shallow brooks, always watching the horizon. The messenger rides close, every jolt pressing the satchel against his chest. Above, owls call softly, wings brushing the night. You ride until stars wheel overhead, only stopping when ponies tremble with weariness. Safe, for now, though morning may bring pursuit anew. At last, you find shelter in a farmer's barn, the air warm with hay and the scent of livestock. The farmer, half awake, shrugs at your coins and asks no questions. Richard settles against a wall, eyes half closed but alert. The messenger curls near the hay, satchel under his head, breathing finally steady. You lie listening to the barn's quiet sounds. Cattle shifting, sparrows rustling in rafters, the faint sigh of wind through cracks. For a time, the world feels still, held in fragile peace. Sunlight filters through gaps in the barn wall, painting the hay with golden beams. You rise to the crowing of cocks, the farmer already at work. Richard checks the ponies, patting their necks with quiet care. The messenger kneels to pray, words whispered for safety. Breakfast is simple: bread, milk, a little honey. Yet it steadies you for the miles ahead. Soon, saddles are set, and you ride once more, the rising sun at your back, fields shining with dew. By midday, you pass through a village where shutters hang broken, doors splintered. Few people linger outside, faces wary, eyes darting. A man whispers, "Thieves came 2 nights past. Took grain, beasts, even children for ransom." His voice cracks with grief. Richard grips his reins tightly, fury burning in his eyes. The messenger looks away, guilt shadowing his face. You ride on, but the cries linger, proof of what the guild's reach brings. Each mile deepens your resolve to see the letters safe. At a crossroads, a tall wooden cross stands weathered, garlanded with withered flowers. Names are carved into its base, crude letters of those lost to robbery. Richard dismounts, laying his rosemary sprig gently at its foot. "Too many gone," he murmurs. The messenger kneels briefly, lips moving in silent prayer. You pause too, the wind cold against your face, the weight of lives lost heavy. When you ride on, the cross remains behind, yet its shadow travels with you. Clouds roll heavy by evening, wind rising sharp. Thunder murmurs distant. Richard urges haste, eyes on the sky. The messenger clutches the satchel close, as though fearing the storm itself might reach for it. Rain begins, cold and stinging, soaking cloaks and saddles. The road turns slick beneath hooves, mud clinging. Lightning flashes, showing fields stretched wide, lonely and bare. The storm grows louder, a drumbeat in the night, as you search desperately for shelter before darkness swallows the land. You find a small hollow in the edge of the trees, where the wind is softer and the rain less sharp. Branches arch overhead, forming a rough canopy. Richard guides the ponies beneath, shaking water from their manes. The messenger digs through his pack, producing a bit of coarse cloth to drape over your shoulders. The air smells of wet earth and leaves. You settle against the trunks, listening to the steady patter of rain. It is not warmth, but it is safety for now, a pause in the storm. As darkness falls, the messenger sits upright beside the ponies, eyes scanning shadows beyond the thicket. "They could be following," he whispers, voice taut. Richard nods once, scanning the road ahead. You sit quietly, listening to the storm, the occasional distant cry of an animal, the low groan of wind in the trees. Minutes stretch like hours. Each snap of a twig makes the heart jump, yet you breathe slowly, keeping watch. The night feels alive, alert, but you remain calm, waiting for the first light. Morning filters through wet leaves, pale light touching the muddy road. Ponies stir, shaking water from coats, steam rising from their flanks. You rise carefully, stretching stiff limbs. Richard nudges the messenger, whispering, "Time to move." Breakfast is small, bread softened by rainwater, a bit of cheese, yet it fills stomachs. The road ahead stretches wet and uncertain, but the mist lifts, revealing fields and hedgerows. Each step forward is cautious, measured, aware of the storm's trail and the guild's possible presence. As you ride, a figure appears at the edge of a hedge, cloaked and hooded. The messenger tenses, hand near the satchel. Richard slows, eyes narrow. The stranger lifts a hand in greeting, voice low. "Letters safe?" Guild watches. Richard frowns, skeptical. "Who sent you?" The figure shakes the head, voice trembling. "Name means nothing. Only warning, East Road is watched." They vanish as suddenly as they came. You exchange glances, the weight of unseen eyes pressing heavier. Decisions must be careful, choices precise. A small stream cuts across the road, water shallow but swift from overnight rain. Ponies step carefully, hooves slipping on slick stones. The messenger lowers the satchel, pressing it tight. Richard checks the bank ahead for ambush. You ride slowly, listening to water over stone, wind in the reeds. The forest beyond seems silent, holding its breath. For a moment, the world is simple: earth, water, trees. Yet danger lurks beyond each bend, each shadow. You urge your mount forward, determined to stay safe. By midday, the road stretches over moorland, low-lying mist curling along wet grass. Visibility is poor, the horizon blurred. The messenger hums quietly, almost to himself, to steady nerves. Richard scans constantly, hand near dagger. The wind carries distant cries of birds, the moan of waterlogged ground under hooves. You ride together in a silent rhythm, aware that the flat, open landscape offers little cover from those who might follow. Each mile is measured, each glance over shoulder cautious. On the far side of the moor, you find an inn, abandoned, doors swinging loosely, windows broken. Rainwater drips from eaves. Richard signals halt. Inside, the air smells of mold and damp straw. You settle ponies in the yard, searching for dry corners. The messenger presses satchel against chest, wary of any lurking shadows. The inn is empty, silent, yet it offers respite. Firewood is scarce, but dry hay piles provide warmth for ponies. Outside, the storm subsides, leaving dripping earth and quiet tension. While ponies rest, Richard unrolls a small map, whispering low. We must avoid main roads, move only by landmarks, keep watch. The messenger leans in, adjusting the satchel. You study the map, tracing paths through forests, fields, hedgerows. Each turn, each gate, could hide danger. The wind rattles loose shutters, punctuating discussion. Plans are made quietly, efficiently. Safety is not guaranteed, but preparation eases fear. Outside, rain puddles reflect gray sky, a mirror for your careful thoughts. Night descends slowly, heavy and quiet. Stars are dim, clouded, as if the sky itself holds its breath. Ponies huddle, tails swishing away wet flies. Richard maintains watch, hand near dagger, eyes scanning open fields. The messenger shifts near the satchel, murmuring a low prayer. Each sound, distant bird, dripping water, snapping twig, makes hearts jump. You sit quietly, body tense, senses alert, yet the rhythm of breathing and soft whispers bring calm. Night stretches, long and still, holding all in suspense. From the edge of the heath, a shape emerges, slow, deliberate. Richard notices first, hand tightening on reins. The messenger rises slightly, clutching satchel as if it could shield them all. You see the outline clearly, tall, hooded, moving with purpose. No sound but the soft crunch of earth beneath boots. Richard whispers, "Stay calm, observe." The figure halts, seems to consider, then continues closer. Hearts pound quietly, yet no sudden movement is made. The night holds its breath. So deep. The hooded figure steps closer, the dim light catching a glint of metal at their belt. Richard tenses, hand near his dagger, while the messenger presses closer to you. The figure stops, raising a hand. A soft voice speaks, "I mean no harm, only a warning." The words are calm, deliberate, carrying weight. They reveal a small seal, crude but distinct, marking them as a messenger from a distant ally. The storm has passed, but danger lingers, and the figure's arrival reminds you that the roads hold unseen watchers. The messenger explains in low tones that the East Road, as expected, is heavily patrolled. The hooded figure suggests a narrow, hidden track through hedgerows and small woods, barely marked on Richard's map. It will add time but reduce risk. The three of you decide to follow it. The path is rough, muddy, and tangled with brambles. Each step requires care, for a wrong move could spook the ponies or leave a trail. The trees arch over you like a silent cathedral, offering cover but also holding the weight of shadows. By mid-afternoon, you reach the first clearing. Ponies are slowed by thick mud, breath puffing in white clouds. Richard halts, whispering, "We wait." You crouch low behind a dense hedgerow, listening. Far off, you hear the clatter of hooves on the main road, men's voices shouting directions. The messenger presses the satchel closer, the leather damp from rain. Minutes stretch endlessly, each one heavy with tension. Yet no one approaches your hidden path, and slowly, cautious relief creeps in. The hidden track bends toward a narrow stream, swollen from rain. The ponies step carefully over slick stones, hooves slipping occasionally. Richard tests the depth with a stick, motioning for you to follow slowly. The messenger balances the satchel tightly against his chest. Water laps quietly around the edges of boots, ponies shaking heads to dislodge droplets. Sunlight peeks through the thinning clouds, shimmering on wet leaves. The crossing is tense, yet successful, each of you silently noting the risks of traveling unseen in unfamiliar terrain. Beyond the stream, subtle signs emerge. A broken branch here, a footprint there, faint markings on trees. Richard frowns, recognizing the symbols of those who track travelers for the guild. The messenger swallows hard, muttering under his breath. You scan the area carefully, noting every irregularity in the path. Though no attackers appear, the awareness of their presence presses on you like a heavy cloak. The quiet forest seems suddenly more alert, every rustle and shadow magnified by imagination and experience. By late afternoon, the path widens into a sunlit meadow. Ponies graze cautiously, still tense. Richard kneels, offering a small portion of bread to the messenger. You rest as well, leaning against a tree, feeling the warmth of the sun on wet clothes. Birds call above, a peaceful counterpoint to the anxiety of the past hours. It is a fleeting calm, yet necessary. Hearts still race with caution, but strength returns gradually, muscles easing, minds clearing just enough to plan the next steps. As you continue through the meadow, a movement catches your eye, a shadow slipping behind tall grass. Richard notices too, hand tightening on reins. The messenger whispers, "They're close." You ride slowly, silent, scanning the horizon. The shadow disappears as quickly as it appeared, yet the reminder is stark. The guild is patient, watching from a distance, ready to strike. You exchange brief glances, silent agreement passing among you to remain alert, measured, prepared for anything that may come. The path bends toward a small village, smoke rising gently from chimneys. Richard signals caution. The road is narrow, and villagers are few, wary, alert. You pass quietly, ponies stepping carefully. A child watches from a doorway, clutching a small wooden toy. The messenger hums softly to calm the animal. Life seems ordinary, almost peaceful, yet each glance reminds you that danger could be near. The village offers a brief, deceptive comfort, a momentary illusion of safety in a world that rarely allows it. A wooden bridge stretches across a narrow river, creaking under the weight of your ponies. Moss covers the planks, slick from rain. Richard pauses to test each step. The messenger shifts the satchel, muttering a prayer under his breath. Water flows swiftly beneath, reflecting a gray sky. Each crossing feels delicate, precarious, yet necessary. The world narrows to the bridge, the river, the ponies' careful steps, and the constant vigilance of unseen eyes. Every movement carries weight, every breath measured in the quiet tension of survival. Evening falls, painting the sky in muted purples and golds. Shadows lengthen across the road. Ponies slow, ears flicking, alert to sounds only they perceive. Richard glances around, voice low, "We'll need to find shelter soon." The messenger nods, pressing the satchel closer. You ride on quietly, the weight of the day heavy but managed. Twilight stretches, soft and slow, the world narrowing to the rhythm of hooves and heartbeats, the anticipation of nightfall bringing both fear and opportunity. The sky darkens fully, a chill settling into the air. Richard scans the horizon, spotting a low, stone-built hut near a bend in the road. The messenger points, relief evident in his posture. You guide the ponies carefully toward it, hooves crunching on gravel. The door creaks as Richard opens it, revealing a small interior with hay on the floor. It is modest, damp, and smells of earth, but it offers shelter from the night and the unknown dangers lurking on the road. Outside the hut, You and Richard tie the ponies to sturdy posts, ensuring they won't wander or be taken. The messenger checks the satchel, pressing it close with a steadying hand. The wind whistles through the trees, carrying distant sounds of the countryside. Shadows move against the walls, but you remain vigilant. Each simple task, securing ponies, arranging hay, checking doors, becomes a ritual of safety, a reminder that even small preparations can mean the difference between security and disaster. Settling inside, you share bread and water with Richard and the messenger. Words are few, spoken softly to preserve calm and concentration. Richard speaks of the journey ahead, cautioning against unnecessary risks. The messenger murmurs details of the guild, careful to reveal only what is necessary. You listen intently, aware that each piece of information could save your life. Outside, the wind shifts, rattling the roof. Inside, the flicker of a small fire offers warmth and the faint comfort of human presence. Night deepens, shadows filling every corner of the hut. Ponies shift uneasily outside, ears twitching at distant sounds. Richard keeps a watchful eye near the doorway, hand on dagger. The messenger murmurs a low prayer, eyes half closed but alert. You settle into a quiet rhythm, listening to the subtle noises of the countryside. Distant owls, the rustle of leaves, the murmur of water. The night is tense, alive with unseen possibilities, yet slowly, a sense of endurance begins to replace fear. Finally, you allow your eyes to close for a brief moment. The fire's warmth touches your face. The soft sounds of breathing, hooves shifting, and rain dripping from eaves create a gentle rhythm. You drift between wakefulness and sleep, aware of the journey ahead but soothed by the human presence around you. Time stretches in this suspended quiet, each heartbeat measured, each breath calm. The night seems to hold its own patience, giving you a rare chance to rest before morning brings movement and uncertainty once again. Before dawn, pale light filters through cracks in the hut walls. Ponies stir softly, nudging hay with damp noses. Richard stretches, voice low, time to move. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring its security. Outside, the landscape is soft with morning mist, each tree and hedge blurred in delicate gray. The wind carries faint scents of earth and water. Slowly, deliberately, you mount the ponies, aware that the day will test vigilance anew, each step along the hidden path fraught with quiet tension. The road leads across open heath, mist curling along tufts of grass. Ponies tread carefully, mud clinging to hooves. The messenger hums softly to maintain calm, eyes alert to every movement. Richard scans the horizon, watching for any sign of pursuit. Silence dominates, broken only by hoofbeats and occasional bird calls. The mist blurs distances, hiding details and dangers alike. Every glance, every sound is magnified in your mind, but progress continues steadily, one careful step after another. Small signs of movement appear, a flattened patch of grass, a broken branch. Richard notices, voice low, someone was here recently. The messenger stiffens, clutching the satchel as though it were fragile glass. You ride with heightened awareness, scanning every shadow and ripple of the land. Though no immediate threat emerges, the evidence of others' passage reminds you that the guild's reach is vast and patient. The landscape, beautiful in its simplicity, feels charged with hidden eyes and potential peril. A massive, hollow oak appears at the edge of the heath, its branches arching like ancient arms. Richard signals a stop, motioning for the ponies to rest in the cover of roots and shadow. The messenger places the satchel inside the hollow, hidden from view, as a precaution. You crouch near the base, feeling the rough bark beneath hands. The wind whispers through leaves, carrying stories of the land and time. The oak becomes both shield and symbol, a silent guardian in a world full of uncertainty. Far off, low thunder rumbles, echoing across fields. Rain begins again, gentle at first, then growing in steady rhythm. Ponies shift nervously beneath shelter, ears twitching at each distant crack. Richard and the messenger move quietly, checking paths and horizon. The storm does not frighten, but it sharpens awareness, reminding you that the world is alive and unpredictable. Each drop of rain, each shadowed movement, becomes part of the rhythm of survival, shaping the journey forward into an uncertain, fragile day. The rain thickens, pattering steadily on cloaks and ponies' backs. Richard urges the animals forward, careful of slippery mud. Each step requires focus, muscles tense against the slick ground. The messenger keeps the satchel close, pressing it against his chest as if it were a talisman. Visibility is low, and distant sounds are muffled by the downpour. You feel each drop on your face, each splash beneath hooves, a constant reminder that even the simplest road is fraught with challenge in this weather. The track narrows into a quagmire churned by rain and previous travelers. Ponies struggle, hooves sinking, splashing water and earth. You lean into your mount, guiding carefully. Richard tests each step with a stick, muttering softly to encourage cautious progress. The messenger glances back occasionally, scanning the gray landscape. Every movement is deliberate, every glance alert. Even the rain, relentless as it is, cannot mask the tension of unseen watchers along the path. Through a bend, you spot a small ford across a swollen stream. Water rushes around stones, glinting in the muted light. Richard dismounts, testing depth and current. The messenger steadies the satchel while you dismount, feeling the cold water lap against boots. Ponies are coaxed across one at a time, hooves slipping on mossy rocks. Every step is measured, every pause significant. The sound of rushing water dominates, masking minor movements, offering brief concealment from any potential followers. Beyond the stream, a dense forest rises, its trees thick and dark. Rain clings to leaves, dripping steadily onto the muddy path. Richard gestures to enter cautiously, aware that shadows could hide observers. The messenger presses the satchel tightly, whispering a low, steady rhythm to calm ponies. You walk beside your mount, senses alert, each snap of twig or rustle of leaves magnified. The forest seems alive, watching, listening, while the path narrows into a winding thread through moss-covered roots and wet undergrowth. Deep in the forest, faint glimmers of light appear, a distant campfire or lantern flickering through the trees. Richard signals to slow. The messenger freezes, ear cocked to subtle sounds. You peer through damp branches, trying to gauge distance and intent. Shadows dance against trunks, and every movement feels amplified by the quiet of the woods. The ponies shift nervously, aware of the foreign presence. The light is both a warning and a guide, reminding you that even in darkness, there are signs to observe and decisions to weigh. From behind a tree, a small figure emerges, dripping with rain but unarmed. Richard tenses, hand on dagger, but the figure raises empty hands. "I can guide you safely," they whisper. Their voice carries authority, tempered by calm. You exchange glances with Richard and the messenger, weighing trust and risk. The figure gestures down a hidden path, barely noticeable from the main road. It is narrow, overgrown, but seems to promise safe passage. The forest closes around you, each choice weighted with consequence. The new path is constricted, tangled with brambles and moss. Ponies step cautiously, hooves sinking into soft earth. Every movement is slow, deliberate as Richard leads the way, messenger pressing the satchel tightly. Overhead, branches twist, leaves dripping with residual rain. Shadows shift unnaturally, and your heart beats steadily but with tension. The path demands attention. Any misstep could unbalance a pony, reveal your presence, or leave you vulnerable. Silence dominates, punctuated by soft splashes and distant bird calls. The path opens into a small glade, surrounded by high shrubs and trees. Sunlight filters weakly through wet leaves, reflecting on puddles. Ponies graze cautiously, the tension of the road easing slightly. Richard kneels to check the satchel, ensuring nothing has shifted. The messenger exhales slowly, finally relaxing shoulders. The glade feels like a temporary sanctuary, a place to breathe and plan, though awareness of the wider world remains. Each moment of calm is precious, a brief respite before the journey resumes. While resting, subtle hints appear: flattened grass, disturbed leaves, faint footprints. Richard notices first, voice low, eyes scanning. The messenger stiffens, clutching the satchel. You recognize the subtle markers: Someone has passed through recently, perhaps guild scouts. Silence returns, heavy with tension. Decisions must be careful. Move quickly, stay hidden, or risk confrontation. The calm of the glade contrasts with the knowledge that eyes may be on you, unseen but attentive, waiting for opportunity. Twilight deepens, shadows stretching across the glade. Ponies are fed, saddled, and checked. Richard whispers instructions, emphasizing caution, observation, and measured progress. The messenger adjusts the satchel once more, ensuring its safety. You take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the journey pressing forward. Every step is deliberate, every glance intentional. The glade provides temporary shelter, but the road beyond promises uncertainty, challenge, and the quiet threat of those who watch from afar. The ponies step cautiously out of the glade, hooves sinking into soft mud as the path narrows again. Richard leads, scanning the horizon through dripping branches. The messenger keeps the satchel pressed against his chest, vigilant. Every sound, a rustle, a distant bird call, the creak of a branch, carries weight. The world seems both serene and tense, each step measured as the trees close around you, shadows lengthening with the fading light of day. A thin mist rises from the ground, curling around roots and puddles. Visibility shrinks, muffling distant sounds. The ponies' breaths form faint clouds, each step splashing through shallow water. Richard signals a pause, whispering, "Stay close." The messenger nods, adjusting the satchel. Even the softest rustle of leaves becomes amplified, every moment filled with alert attention. The mist transforms the forest into a living, breathing entity, both protective and potentially perilous. The path climbs a low ridge, mud giving way to compact earth. Ponies strain against the incline, muscles taut beneath wet coats. Richard checks the horizon constantly. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, murmuring softly to the animals to keep them calm. From the ridge, distant shapes of fields and forest edges appear, muted by mist. The sense of space provides relief, yet also exposes you to potential watchers. Each step is careful, each pause weighted with cautious observation. A small, hidden stream appears along the path, water trickling over smooth stones. Ponies step lightly, careful not to slip. Richard pauses, testing the footing, while the messenger crouches to examine the bank for signs of others. You observe too, noting subtle disturbances in the soil. The stream's gentle gurgle is calming, yet it reminds you that water can conceal both sanctuary and danger. Moving through the space demands balance, patience, and constant attention. A hollow beneath an ancient oak provides shelter from the light rain that has resumed. Ponies huddle close, shaking off droplets. Richard kneels to offer them small handfuls of hay, whispering assurances. The messenger sets the satchel beside him, checking its seams. You sit against the tree, feeling the rough bark against your back. The hollow is small, private, and damp, yet it offers a brief moment of peace, a chance to breathe and reflect on the careful, slow progress of the day. As you rest, faint shadows flicker among the distant trees. Richard notices first, hand on dagger. The messenger stiffens, whispering a warning about guild scouts. Silence dominates, tense and deliberate. Every sound, every movement is scrutinized. Even in rest, awareness is essential. The shadows remind you that the guild operates with patience and cunning, always ready to strike. Your calm is fragile, held in balance by vigilance and quiet discipline. The day fades, twilight filtering through rain-soaked leaves. Ponies shift restlessly beneath the shelter of the hollow. Richard checks the horizon, noting signs of movement among the trees. The messenger murmurs low words to keep the animals calm. The forest is alive with sound and motion, yet each step remains measured, careful. Twilight stretches the mind, drawing attention to small details: the rustle of leaves, the snap of a twig, the faint impression of footsteps along hidden paths. Ponies rise as you prepare to continue. The hollow provides safety for now, but the journey resumes. Richard leads, walking beside his mount to guide it through mud and shallow puddles. The messenger follows, satchel secured. You take your position alongside, eyes scanning, muscles tense. Every sound is amplified, every shadow examined. The forest seems to breathe with you, moving with and around your small band, aware of your presence as much as you are aware of its hidden dangers. The path is blocked by a fallen tree, slick from rain. Ponies hesitate, hooves sliding on wet bark. Richard dismounts, guiding each animal over carefully. The messenger follows, ensuring the satchel remains secure. You step lightly, balancing along the edge, careful not to slip. Every movement is deliberate, slow, measured. The fallen timber serves as both obstacle and natural cover, forcing caution, focus, and unity among the three of you as you navigate the wet, unpredictable terrain. The forest finally thins, revealing the first glimpses of open fields and a distant dirt road. Richard signals, calming ponies. The messenger adjusts the satchel, securing it once more. Though the open road brings freedom of movement, it also brings exposure. Every sound now carries farther, every movement is visible. The balance of safety and danger shifts, each step forward deliberate, calculated. The road ahead promises both relief and the ever-present challenge of vigilance. The dirt road stretches ahead, flanked by low hedgerows and distant cottages. Morning mist still clings to the fields, giving the landscape a muted, dreamlike quality. Richard urges the ponies forward cautiously, scanning for movement along the edges. The messenger keeps the satchel close, aware that the open road invites both opportunity and danger. Every distant sound, crow of a rooster, creak of a wheel, bark of a dog, feels amplified in the quiet. A small farm appears on the left, smoke rising from the chimney. Richard signals a slow approach. Ponies tread lightly on the muddy lane. The messenger glances at the farmhouse, noting the absence of people outside. You notice a dog slinking behind the fence, eyes bright and curious. Passing quietly, you keep a measured pace, aware that sudden noises or movements could draw unwanted attention. The farm recedes behind you, leaving only faint traces of human life along the road. The road shows signs of recent passage, hoof prints, wagon ruts, and broken twigs. Richard observes quietly, whispering about possible followers. The messenger nods, adjusting the satchel to prevent shifting. Every detail is scrutinized: the direction of footprints, depth of impressions, even the pattern of mud. You realize the road is both guide and warning, telling the tale of those who passed before and hinting at those who may still follow. A cold wind rises, rustling leaves and bending tall grasses along the roadside. Ponies strain against it, ears flicking nervously. Richard covers his face, squinting against the gusts, while the messenger leans forward to steady the satchel. The wind carries scents and sounds, some familiar, some foreign. Each gust feels like a whisper from the surrounding land, reminding you that the elements are as unpredictable as any human adversary. A narrow, fast-moving stream cuts across the path. Richard dismounts, testing stones and footing. Ponies hesitate, hooves slipping on moss. You step carefully beside your mount, guiding it across. The messenger checks the satchel, keeping it dry and secure. Water splashes coldly around boots and hooves. The crossing demands focus, slow and deliberate, every movement considered. The stream's trickle masks faint sounds, providing cover but also hiding potential threats. The road descends into a shallow valley, bordered by hedgerows and scattered trees. Mist clings low, softening edges and shapes. Richard signals slow progress, ponies stepping carefully on uneven ground. The messenger murmurs softly to the animals, keeping them calm. You notice subtle shadows shifting among the trees, but no sound confirms presence. The valley feels quiet, almost suspended in time, offering both protection and uncertainty as the path winds through its gentle dips. Faint figures appear along the horizon, barely visible through the mist. Richard signals caution. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring the valuables remain secure. You observe closely, discerning posture, movement, and intent. The figures remain distant, yet their presence shifts the rhythm of the journey, demanding alertness. Every sound and motion now carries greater weight, each step deliberate to avoid drawing notice. The road narrows, flanked by tall, wet grasses that bend with the wind. Ponies move carefully, hooves brushing against stalks. Richard leads, moving with quiet precision, while the messenger maintains close watch over the satchel. Each step feels amplified, the swish of grass echoing in the damp air. The path feels alive, pressing against you with a subtle reminder that even natural elements can test your attention and patience. A small rise offers a brief resting point, allowing a clear view of the surrounding countryside. Ponies graze cautiously, ears twitching at distant noises. Richard kneels to check the satchel, murmuring instructions for careful observation. You sit on a wet stone, letting eyes scan the horizon. The landscape seems calm, yet every shadow, every faint movement demands attention. Moments of rest are precious, offering the chance to plan the next steps carefully. Beyond the rise, the east road becomes visible, winding into the distance like a pale ribbon. Richard signals quiet, urging ponies forward. The messenger keeps the satchel pressed firmly, aware that the open road brings exposure. Every sound, distant birds, rustling leaves, soft hoofbeats, is significant. The landscape shifts from the muted valley to a more open path, and with it comes both relief and the continuing responsibility to remain vigilant. The east road stretches ahead, a pale, muddy ribbon cutting through fields. Ponies step carefully, hooves sinking slightly with each move. Richard leads, eyes scanning every shadow along hedgerows. The messenger keeps the satchel tight against his chest, tension coiling in his shoulders. Every sound, every distant movement is scrutinized. The open road offers visibility but removes the cover of trees, forcing a slow, deliberate pace. Broken twigs, shallow hoofprints, and flattened grass hint at others who passed this way recently. Richard whispers observations, adjusting the route to avoid obvious tracks. The messenger nods, careful to maintain a steady pace without leaving traces of your own. You notice subtle shifts in soil and vegetation, understanding that the road carries both guidance and warning. Each step is measured, every glance purposeful. Through morning haze, faint figures appear near a hedgerow. Richard halts, hand raised. The messenger presses the satchel close, eyes narrowing. You study the shadows. Are they guild scouts, travelers, or simply farmhands moving along the edge of the fields? The uncertainty keeps muscles taut, senses sharpened, each heartbeat echoing in the quiet countryside. Caution outweighs curiosity as you prepare for whatever may come. The road narrows, flanked by tall hedges dripping with rain. Ponies step cautiously, ears flicking nervously. Richard moves beside your mount, ensuring careful footing. The messenger murmurs softly, guiding the animals without sudden movements. Every rustle of leaves or crack of a twig carries weight. The lane is constricting, limiting visibility but offering subtle cover, forcing careful, deliberate progress through the damp, confined space. A small wooden bridge spans a muddy brook, planks slick with moisture. Ponies hesitate, hoof against wood testing its stability. Richard dismounts, guiding them carefully, while the messenger adjusts the satchel. You step lightly, balancing against a worn railing, each movement deliberate. The bridge creaks under weight, echoing across the water. Every sound seems magnified in the quiet morning, reminding you that even simple crossings require vigilance. The road opens onto wide, rain-soaked fields. Ponies move with more freedom, yet the exposure heightens awareness. Richard scans the horizon, watching for distant movement. The messenger adjusts the satchel once more, ensuring nothing shifts. The fields stretch endlessly, with scattered trees offering faint cover. The contrast between the narrow lane and open expanse sharpens your sense of both risk and relief, each step forward deliberate. A small cottage appears, smoke rising lazily from the chimney. Richard signals a brief pause, using it to scan surroundings. The messenger checks the satchel, adjusting its strap. Ponies nicker softly, sensing a potential stop. You notice the faint impression of footprints leading toward the cottage. Someone has passed recently. Decisions must be careful. Pass quietly or approach with caution. Every choice carries consequences in this vigilant world. Broken twigs, faint footprints, and displaced soil indicate someone was here recently. Richard notices first, whispering caution. The messenger stiffens, satchel clutched tightly. You observe subtle patterns, the spacing of prints, the direction of movement, the disturbance of grass. These are not random. Someone is watching, scouting, or marking territory. The tension rises, reminding you that the guild's presence is persistent, patient, and ever-present. A fine mist drifts across the fields, softening edges and hiding distant shapes. Ponies move slowly, hooves damp against softened earth. Richard leads, scanning ahead and behind, every sense alert. The messenger murmurs softly, guiding animals with gentle pressure. You notice subtle changes in light and shadow, faint silhouettes of trees and hedgerows emerging from mist. Each step is careful, deliberate, and measured against the invisible threats around you. A shallow stream cuts across the path, water flowing swiftly over smooth stones. Ponies hesitate, testing footing. Richard dismounts, guiding each carefully. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring it stays dry. Water splashes coldly against boots and hooves. Each movement is deliberate, slow, and cautious. The sound of rushing water masks faint noises, offering both cover and uncertainty as you navigate the small but significant obstacle. The path leads toward the edge of a dense forest. Ponies step cautiously, hooves sinking into damp soil. Richard scans for movement, hand hovering near the dagger. The messenger keeps the satchel close, aware that the forest hides both danger and concealment. Shadows lengthen, leaves glisten with rain. Every sound, distant bird call, rustling branches, is amplified in the quiet, demanding slow, deliberate progress. The road narrows as it enters shadowed trees. Ponies step carefully over roots and fallen branches. Richard leads, whispering observations and adjustments. The messenger murmurs softly, calming animals while maintaining vigilance. Darkness deepens under the canopy, muffling distant sounds. Each step requires focus, every glance deliberate. The forest feels alive, watching, breathing, shaping the journey with both concealment and hidden peril. A natural hollow offers a temporary resting place. Ponies huddle beneath low branches, shaking off raindrops. Richard checks the satchel, ensuring security. You sit on damp earth, listening to wind and water dripping from leaves. The hollow provides shelter and a moment of calm, though vigilance remains necessary. The forest around is silent yet alive, each movement amplified, each sound weighted with potential significance. Shadows shift faintly in the hollow, stirred by wind or distant movement. Richard notices first, whispering a low warning. The messenger stiffens, holding the satchel firmly. You observe carefully, noting shapes and shifts, unsure whether natural or human. The tension is palpable, yet you remain quiet, breathing slowly. Even moments of rest are infused with cautious awareness in this forested world. Rain intensifies, pattering on leaves and ground. Ponies shift uneasily beneath shelter. Richard and the messenger adjust positioning, keeping animals and satchel protected. The hollow fills with soft echoes of raindrops. Movement outside is muffled, yet the forest seems to move with it. You feel the rhythm of rain, each drop a reminder of patience and endurance as you await conditions to improve before continuing. The rain softens slightly, leaving damp but manageable conditions. Richard checks ponies, whispering instructions for careful navigation. The messenger secures the satchel, ensuring it is fully protected. You rise, brushing damp clothing. Every movement is deliberate, cautious. The forest is still alive, shadows deep and unpredictable. Preparing to move requires patience and attention, each step measured before continuing along the path. Ponies step carefully out of the hollow, mud squelching beneath hooves. Richard leads, scanning for danger. The messenger presses the satchel against his chest. Each sound, each movement along the forest floor is noted. Visibility improves slightly, yet shadows still linger. The transition from sheltered hollow to the wider forest demands focus and deliberate pace, balancing speed with caution in an unpredictable environment. The path narrows between moss-covered trees and dense undergrowth. Ponies step cautiously, roots and stones hidden beneath wet leaves. Richard moves beside the led pony, hand near dagger. The messenger murmurs quietly, keeping animals steady. Every rustle, drip, and distant call of bird or animal sharpens alertness. The track feels alive, constricting, and demanding careful, deliberate attention to each step. Subtle disturbances in the leaves and soil indicate recent travelers. Richard signals pause, whispering caution. The messenger stiffens, adjusting the satchel. Footprints, broken twigs, and slightly displaced foliage suggest someone moved here recently, possibly observing or following. Awareness heightens as each step carries potential consequence. The forest hides as much as it reveals, and you proceed slowly, deliberately, alert to every detail. A small clearing appears ahead, offering brief respite and better visibility. Ponies move carefully into the open, muscles tense. Richard kneels, scanning all directions. The messenger checks the satchel. Shadows remain along the edges of trees, shifting faintly with the breeze. The clearing allows pause, observation, and planning, yet the tension of unseen eyes remains. Movement here requires careful deliberation and patience. From the clearing, distant hills and hedgerows are visible. Richard scans for potential watchers. The messenger murmurs softly to calm ponies. Every detail in the distance is noted: shapes of trees, subtle color changes, movement among grass. The landscape stretches, providing context and perspective, yet each new site carries potential risk. Observing carefully allows informed decisions, balancing caution with necessity in the journey ahead. The trees begin to thin, light filtering through gaps. Ponies move more freely, though still wary. Richard gestures for deliberate pace. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, vigilant. Shadows stretch long with the afternoon sun. The thinning forest offers both relief and exposure, each step deliberate to balance the advantage of sight with the vulnerability of open paths. Flattened grass and faint tracks indicate recent travelers along the path. Richard signals caution, whispering instructions to slow and observe. The messenger presses the satchel tightly, scanning hedgerows and distant tree lines. Every subtle detail matters: the angle of footprints, the depth of impressions, the direction of broken twigs. The awareness that others may be nearby makes each step deliberate, every movement measured and purposeful. The path opens into a wide, rain-soaked meadow. Ponies move slowly, hooves sinking into wet earth. Richard leads, eyes sweeping the horizon, hand resting near the dagger. The messenger murmurs softly, guiding animals and keeping the satchel secure. Every distant sound, bird call, rustling grass, faint splash, is significant. The meadow's expanse offers visibility, yet the exposure demands vigilance, requiring slow, deliberate movement. A solitary oak stands in the center of the meadow. Richard signals a pause. Ponies rest briefly, ears twitching. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring it is tightly secured. You study the tree, noting its thick trunk and low-hanging branches. The oak could serve as a marker, a temporary refuge, or simply a visual landmark. In this world, even natural features carry strategic significance, demanding careful observation and consideration. The horizon reveals distant hills, shrouded in mist and shadow. Richard gestures, pointing to subtle movement near the ridge. The messenger squints, adjusting the satchel strap. Ponies step carefully, muscles tense. The hills provide both direction and potential hazard. Every faint movement, every shadow is scrutinized. The vastness of the land offers perspective but also reminds you that vigilance must remain constant, even in open spaces. A narrow stream cuts across the meadow. Richard dismounts, testing footing and depth. Ponies hesitate, hooves slipping on muddy banks. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring the valuables remain dry and secure. You step carefully beside your mount, guiding it over slick stones. Each movement is deliberate and slow, aware that even small missteps can carry consequences in this cautious, dangerous world. The path leads toward a dense woodland. Ponies step cautiously, hooves sinking into soft, wet soil. Richard scans edges, every shadow considered. The messenger murmurs softly to keep animals calm. The trees close in, muffling distant sounds and deepening the air of anticipation. Shadows shift with the wind, every crack of a branch heightening alertness. The forest is alive, demanding careful navigation and deliberate movement. A narrow, hidden path appears, partially obscured by undergrowth. Richard signals to proceed slowly. Ponies step lightly, avoiding obvious disturbance. The messenger keeps the satchel close, muscles tense. Every broken branch, disturbed leaf, or footprint could reveal your presence. The concealed path offers cover, but it also confines movement, requiring extreme care and measured steps through the damp, dense vegetation. Faint rustling echoes through the undergrowth. Richard freezes, hand hovering near dagger. The messenger stiffens, eyes scanning every shadow. Ponies sense the tension, ears twitching nervously. You strain to hear, noting the rhythm of the disturbance, deliberate, cautious, almost human in its pattern. The forest seems to hold its breath with you, and the next steps must be slow, deliberate, and careful. A fallen tree blocks the path, slick with rain. Richard leads, guiding ponies carefully over the trunk. The messenger adjusts the satchel, securing its position. You step cautiously, balancing on wet bark, mindful of each movement. The creak of wood under hoof and foot echoes in the quiet forest. Every step demands attention, every pause carries weight. The fallen timber is both obstacle and shield, requiring slow, deliberate navigation. A small clearing opens ahead, offering brief respite and visibility. Ponies graze cautiously, still tense. Richard kneels, scanning surroundings. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Shadows linger along the edges of trees, shifting subtly. The clearing is quiet, almost serene, yet the potential presence of others keeps vigilance high. Each moment in the open demands careful attention, deliberate breathing, and slow, measured movement. A thin wisp of smoke rises on the horizon. Richard signals pause, eyes narrowing. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Ponies shift uneasily. Smoke could indicate travelers, settlements, or dangers waiting along the path. Every sound, every shadow is scrutinized. You consider the implications. Caution must guide every choice. Even distant signals can shape decisions in this delicate, uncertain world. The path narrows, flanked by high, wet hedgerows. Ponies step carefully, hooves sinking slightly in soft soil. Richard leads, scanning every shadow, hand ready near the dagger. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, muscles tense. The hedgerows provide both cover and limitation, restricting visibility and movement. Every rustle, drip, or distant sound carries significance, guiding cautious, deliberate progress. Rain has turned the path into thick mud. Ponies strain against slipping hooves. Richard tests footing, guiding each step carefully. The messenger ensures the satchel remains secure and balanced. Every movement must be deliberate, slow, and calculated. The mud absorbs sound but hides potential dangers beneath. The landscape tests patience and focus, demanding measured progress to avoid mishaps. The remnants of a broken cartwheel lie at the edge of the path. Richard gestures for caution. The messenger murmurs quietly, pressing the satchel closer. Broken wood, displaced earth, and scattered debris hint at recent travelers, perhaps an ambush or accident. Every detail is scrutinized, alertness sharpened. Even mundane signs in this world carry weight, shaping each step forward through careful observation. Rolling hills emerge beyond the treeline, bathed in muted light. Richard signals steady progress. Ponies pick their way slowly, muscles taut. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, glancing toward potential threats along the horizon. The hills provide context, perspective, and potential paths forward. Yet their visibility also exposes vulnerability, demanding vigilance and deliberate, measured steps along the path. The dense woodland thins, revealing a more open landscape. Ponies step cautiously onto firmer ground. Richard scans edges, hand hovering near dagger. The messenger murmurs quietly, ensuring satchel security. Shadows remain along the treeline, shifting slightly with wind. The transition from forest to open land requires careful observation and slow, deliberate pace, balancing relief with exposure. A wider stream crosses the path, water moving swiftly over stones. Richard dismounts, testing footing and depth. Ponies hesitate, hooves slipping on mossy rocks. The messenger adjusts the satchel to prevent shifting. Every step must be careful, deliberate, and measured. The water amplifies sound and motion, providing both a challenge and subtle cover, demanding patience and focus for safe passage. Fields and scattered farmhouses appear along the horizon. Richard gestures, signaling slow progress. Ponies step carefully through wet grass. The messenger presses the satchel tightly, scanning for movement. Fences, hedgerows, and crops offer both cover and obstacles. Each step forward is deliberate, measured against both visibility and potential risk in this lightly populated landscape. A shepherd with a flock of sheep is visible in the distance. Richard signals to keep low and quiet. Ponies move silently, muscles taut. The messenger murmurs softly to animals, adjusting the satchel. Every sound, the sheep's bleat, the crook striking the ground, carries significance. Interaction or exposure could reveal your presence, so cautious, slow movement is essential to navigate safely past the lone figure. A thin line of trees borders the path ahead. Richard leads ponies carefully beneath low branches. The messenger adjusts the satchel, ensuring balance and security. Shadows shift as wind stirs leaves. The trees offer cover and concealment, yet also constrain movement. Every step is deliberate, measured, and cautious, maintaining vigilance against potential dangers both hidden and distant along the narrow roadside path. The roadside woods are alive with subtle movement. Leaves whisper with every breeze, masking distant sounds and heightening alertness. Ponies step cautiously, hooves sinking into soft soil. Richard's eyes scan every shadow, hand hovering near his dagger. The messenger murmurs softly, keeping the satchel secure. Every crack of a twig or rustle of undergrowth is noted, each step deliberate, slow, and measured. Disturbed soil and flattened vegetation reveal faint tracks ahead. Richard signals a pause, whispering instructions. The messenger stiffens, adjusting the satchel. Ponies shift uneasily beneath you. Every print, every subtle indentation is studied. Size, depth, direction. These are signs of recent travel and perhaps observers. Vigilance dominates as you carefully plot each step through the dense, shadowed trees. A small clearing appears ahead, offering temporary relief and visibility. Ponies graze cautiously, ears twitching. Richard kneels, scanning all directions. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Light filters weakly through overcast skies, casting dim shadows across the ground. The clearing is quiet, almost serene, yet the potential for hidden watchers keeps tension taut. Movement must remain deliberate, measured, and slow. The path leads to a narrow stream, water flowing swiftly over smooth stones. Richard dismounts, testing footing and depth. Ponies hesitate, ears flicking nervously. The messenger presses the satchel against his chest, muscles taut. You step carefully, guiding your mount over slick stones. Each movement must be deliberate, every sound weighed against the persistent threat of ambush or detection along the waterway. Ponies carefully navigate the slippery stones, water splashing softly. Richard moves ahead, steadying his mount. The messenger murmurs instructions to calm the animals. The forest around echoes faintly, amplifying sound. Each step is cautious, deliberate, measured against both the slippery footing and potential threats from the surrounding woodland. Slow, careful motion dominates the scene. Through mist and rain, shadows move along the far edge of the meadow. Richard pauses, whispering warnings. The messenger grips the satchel tightly. Ponies hesitate, sensing tension. Every distant movement is scrutinized. Is it travelers, scouts, or something more threatening? The awareness of potential watchers heightens caution, slowing pace and sharpening every sense. The path narrows between dense trees and undergrowth. Ponies pick their way over uneven soil and roots. Richard scans every shadow, hand near dagger. The messenger murmurs softly, guiding animals carefully. Each step is deliberate, slow, and deliberate as the forest tightens its grip on visibility and movement. Awareness dominates, every sound amplified in the hushed, rain-dampened woodland. A large fallen tree blocks the narrow path. Richard steps down, guiding ponies over slippery bark. The messenger adjusts the satchel. The creak of wood echoes softly, mingling with distant bird calls. Every movement is slow, deliberate, and precise, mindful of slipping hooves and shifting weight. The fallen timber is obstacle and temporary cover, demanding careful navigation. The dense woodland thins, revealing a pale, misty field. Ponies step cautiously, hooves sinking slightly in wet soil. Richard gestures for measured progress, scanning edges for potential watchers. The messenger keeps the satchel secure. Shadows linger along the tree-line, shifting subtly with the wind. Transitioning from forest to open ground demands slow, cautious movement, balancing visibility with exposure. A small cottage appears on the horizon, smoke curling from its chimney. Richard signals a pause, eyes narrowing. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Ponies sense movement ahead, ears flicking nervously. The cottage could be a landmark, refuge, or hidden threat. Every decision requires caution. Pass quietly or approach with awareness. Each movement must remain slow and deliberate. The path leads to a small wooden bridge over a muddy brook. Richard tests the planks carefully, ensuring secure footing. Ponies hesitate, hooves slipping on wet wood. The messenger adjusts the satchel, pressing it against his chest. Each step is deliberate, cautious, and measured, aware that one misstep could result in a fall or noise that betrays your position. The road opens into rain-slicked fields, muddy and glistening. Ponies pick their way carefully, hooves sinking slightly. Richard leads, scanning the horizon for distant movement. The messenger murmurs softly to keep animals calm. Each sound, the splash of hooves, distant bird call, carries significance. Movement remains slow and measured, attentive to every risk posed by exposure across the open land. The horizon reveals mist-shrouded hills, pale and distant. Richard signals steady, cautious progress. Ponies move slowly, tense. The messenger ensures the satchel is secure. The hills are both guidance and potential danger, offering vantage points and exposure. Every step is deliberate, slow, and measured, guided by awareness of the surrounding terrain and potential watchers. The path approaches a line of trees marking the edge of a small forest. Ponies step cautiously into shade. Richard scans tree-line, hand resting near dagger. The messenger murmurs softly, muscles tense. Shadows shift as wind stirs leaves, creating subtle, deceptive movement. Slow, deliberate steps guide the journey into the forest, balancing concealment with careful observation. A small, rushing stream crosses the path. Richard dismounts, testing footing and depth. Ponies hesitate, slipping slightly on mossy stones. The messenger adjusts the satchel for balance and security. Every step must be deliberate, cautious, and slow, each movement considered for both safety and stealth across the narrow waterway. Dense trees close around the path, muffling distant sounds. Ponies move carefully, hooves sinking slightly in soft earth. Richard leads, scanning every shadow, dagger ready. The messenger murmurs softly, ensuring animals remain calm. Visibility is limited, requiring slow, measured steps. Awareness dominates, with every creak of branch and rustle of leaf scrutinized. Flattened leaves and broken twigs indicate recent travelers. Richard signals caution, whispering instructions. The messenger stiffens, keeping the satchel secure. Ponies shift uneasily. Every detail is observed: footprint size, spacing, direction. Awareness sharpens, each step deliberate and slow, mindful of potential observers in the shadowed forest. A small clearing provides brief visibility and respite. Ponies graze cautiously, ears flicking. Richard kneels, scanning edges. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Light filters weakly through overcast sky. Shadows linger along tree-line, shifting slightly with wind. Slow, deliberate movement ensures both observation and security as you navigate the forested clearing. Thin wisps of smoke rise on the horizon. Richard gestures to pause, eyes narrowing. Ponies shift nervously. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Smoke could signal travelers, settlements, or danger. Awareness heightens, and movement remains slow, deliberate, and cautious as the party assesses potential threats from afar. The path narrows between dense, wet hedgerows. Ponies step carefully, hooves sinking slightly. Richard scans shadows, dagger at hand. The messenger murmurs quietly, guiding animals. Hedgerows offer both cover and constraint. Every step is slow, deliberate, and measured, balancing concealment and movement through the narrow path. The rain-soaked path is thick with mud. Ponies pick their way cautiously. Richard tests footing, guiding each step carefully. The messenger ensures satchel remains secure. Each movement must be deliberate and careful. The terrain tests patience, requiring measured steps to prevent mishaps while advancing slowly through the wet landscape. A remnant of a broken cart lies near the path. Richard signals caution. The messenger murmurs quietly, keeping animals close. Signs of recent passage, disturbance, or ambush are evident. Awareness heightens with every detail scrutinized. Slow, careful navigation ensures you advance without drawing unwanted attention in this unpredictable environment. Rolling hills emerge beyond the treeline, muted and misty. Richard signals steady, careful pace. Ponies step slowly. The messenger secures the satchel, scanning the horizon. The hills offer perspective, guidance, and potential danger. Each step is deliberate, balancing visibility with caution along the exposed landscape. Trees thin along the path, revealing open land. Ponies move cautiously. Richard scans for shadows and movement, dagger ready. The messenger murmurs quietly, keeping satchel secure. Transitioning from forest to open field requires slow, deliberate steps, balancing relief with exposure to potential threats along the road. A wider stream cuts across the path. Richard dismounts, testing footing. Ponies hesitate, ears flicking nervously. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Each step is deliberate, cautious, and measured. The sound of rushing water masks faint noises, offering both challenge and cover during this careful passage. Fields and scattered farmhouses appear along the horizon. Richard signals slow progress. Ponies step carefully. The messenger keeps the satchel secure. Fences and hedgerows provide both obstacles and cover. Every movement is deliberate, measured against exposure and potential risk in the lightly populated landscape. A shepherd and his flock appear in the distance. Richard signals quiet approach. Ponies step carefully. The messenger murmurs softly to maintain calm. Every sound, including sheep bleats and staff striking the ground, is significant. Movement remains slow and deliberate, avoiding detection while navigating the open area. A thin line of trees borders the path ahead. Ponies step carefully beneath low branches. Richard leads, scanning shadows. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Shadows shift, and wind moves leaves. Slow, deliberate movement is essential, balancing concealment with careful attention to the narrow roadside woods. Sunlight filters through trees, creating shifting shadows across the path. Ponies move cautiously. Richard gestures for measured pace. The messenger keeps the satchel secure. Each flicker of light or shifting shadow is observed. Movement remains deliberate, slow, and careful, ensuring vigilance in this subtly shifting environment. The path splits ahead, one road continuing east, another turning slightly west. Richard signals pause, considering options. Ponies shift nervously. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Awareness heightens as you evaluate the safest route, every decision deliberate, every step measured. The choice could determine safety or danger on the journey ahead. Richard studies the fork carefully, the morning mist clinging to his tunic. The east road appears straighter, less forested, while the western fork curves through denser woodland. Ponies paw at the ground, uneasy. The messenger murmurs softly, securing the satchel. Every detail is considered: cover, visibility, likelihood of ambush. You follow Richard's lead, aware that even a seemingly minor choice can affect survival. The eastern path is muddy, lined with low hedges. Ponies move slowly, hooves sinking slightly. Richard glances ahead, hand near dagger. Shadows from the hedges shift in the wind. The messenger keeps the satchel pressed close, alert to every movement. The road feels deceptively open, but every rustle or distant sound could indicate danger, demanding careful, deliberate motion. A faint flicker of motion is visible along the hedge line. Richard freezes, whispering instructions. Ponies hesitate. The messenger tenses, holding the satchel tight. Every shadow is scrutinized. The movement could be harmless wildlife or scouts from a gang. Silence dominates, broken only by soft hoofsteps and occasional bird call. Each step must now be slower, more deliberate, and precise. Fog thickens across the road, reducing visibility. Ponies sniff nervously at damp earth. Richard gestures to proceed cautiously. The messenger murmurs softly, keeping the satchel secure. Shapes in the fog shift with every movement, creating fleeting illusions of figures lurking nearby. Progress slows further, deliberate and methodical, each step weighed against potential unseen hazards. Fresh footprints appear in the mud, partially washed by rain. Richard pauses, squinting. Ponies hesitate. The messenger crouches slightly, observing the impressions. They suggest recent passage. Humans, perhaps with horses. Every step, every pause is measured. The awareness of unseen observers intensifies, enforcing extreme caution along the misty, muddy road. A sudden rustle from the hedgerow startles the ponies. Richard signals stillness. The messenger presses the satchel tight. You hold your breath as shadows shift, leaves trembling. The movement is slow, deliberate, almost deliberate in intent. Every creak, drip, or rustle is amplified, keeping nerves taut and steps cautious. The road passes a broken fence, wood rotted and scattered. Richard gestures slowly to navigate the obstacle. Ponies step carefully. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Every sound echoes in the foggy morning, demanding attention. Each careful, deliberate step ensures no misstep, no noise to betray your presence along this treacherous path. A distant farmhouse emerges through fog, smoke curling from the chimney. Richard signals slow progress. Ponies move cautiously. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, muscles tense. The farm is isolated, its occupants unknown. Every decision, whether to pass openly, skirt the property, or observe quietly, requires deliberate, slow consideration to avoid drawing attention. From the road, you watch the farmhouse. Richard gestures for stillness. Ponies shift uneasily. The messenger murmurs softly, keeping satchel secure. Every movement within the property is noted: shadow behind a window, sound of footsteps, faint animal noises. Observation is slow, deliberate, ensuring awareness of potential threats without revealing your position. Richard signals to continue slowly along the road, keeping a cautious distance from the farmhouse. Ponies step carefully over puddles and uneven ground. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Visibility remains low due to lingering fog, and each rustle, drip, and distant sound is scrutinized. Every step is measured, deliberate, and slow to avoid detection or accident. The road opens into pale, misty fields. Ponies step slowly, muscles tense. Richard scans the horizon. The messenger murmurs softly, adjusting the satchel. Visibility improves slightly, yet the exposure heightens risk. Awareness dominates, dictating each slow, deliberate step, balancing movement with observation of every distant shadow, sound, and subtle change in the landscape. Thin columns of smoke appear on the horizon, far in the distance. Richard gestures to pause. Ponies hesitate. The messenger presses the satchel close. Smoke could indicate settlements, travelers, or danger. Each step forward is carefully weighed, deliberate, and slow, balancing progression with vigilance. Every distant signal is interpreted for potential meaning. Hills rise ahead, muted and mist-shrouded. Richard signals steady, careful movement. Ponies pick their way cautiously. The messenger observes terrain, adjusting satchel. The hills suggest potential visibility points, danger, or safe observation. Each step forward is deliberate and slow, every pause considered against exposure and potential observers across the undulating landscape. The path nears a thin line of trees. Ponies step slowly beneath low branches. Richard scans for shadows, dagger ready. The messenger murmurs quietly, adjusting the satchel. Each branch, shadow, or rustle could signify hidden watchers. Slow, careful, deliberate steps maintain vigilance and minimize risk as you navigate the tree-lined stretch of road. A crow caws loudly nearby, startling the ponies. Richard signals calm. The messenger murmurs softly to quiet the animals. The sudden noise reminds you of the forest's subtle, persistent presence. Shadows shift as branches move. Every step must remain slow and deliberate, aware of both natural and human observers along the path. The path dips to a narrow stream. Richard dismounts, testing footing. Ponies hesitate. The messenger adjusts the satchel. Every step across slippery stones is slow, deliberate, and measured. Water splashes softly. Awareness dominates, balancing careful movement with the need to remain quiet and avoid drawing attention from distant watchers. A wooden gate appears along the road, partially open. Richard gestures cautiously. Ponies approach slowly, hooves sinking into muddy ground. The messenger murmurs softly, keeping satchel secure. Every detail is examined: the gate's condition, potential hiding spots, and visibility beyond. Each step forward is measured, deliberate, and slow, ensuring caution in this confined space. A lone figure moves slowly along the field edge. Richard signals for pause. Ponies shift uneasily. The messenger presses the satchel tight. The figure's movements are deliberate, and every rustle of grass is noted. Observation is slow, deliberate, ensuring the group remains hidden while evaluating whether the figure is friend, foe, or indifferent. Richard gestures to veer slightly west, keeping hedgerows between you and the distant figure. Ponies adjust their path cautiously. The messenger murmurs softly, pressing the satchel tight. Every movement is deliberate, slow, and measured, balancing concealment with careful progression along the winding road toward the East Road Fork. The group reaches the edge of a small woodland, offering shelter and partial concealment. Ponies rest briefly, ears flicking. Richard signals a pause, scanning surroundings. The messenger keeps the satchel secure, muscles tense. The forest provides temporary safety and respite. Every movement is slow and deliberate, allowing the group to prepare for the next leg of the journey. The story pauses here, giving a natural resting point before the next adventure. The sun dips low behind distant hills, painting the sky in muted shades of amber and gray. You and Richard guide the ponies into a small hollow at the woodland's edge, where the trees curve protectively around a soft patch of grass. The messenger lowers the satchel, muscles finally easing after the day's tense journey. A gentle breeze stirs the leaves, and for the first time in hours, you feel a fragile sense of safety. Richard dismounts, checking the ponies and giving them water from a nearby stream. The forest is quiet now, save for the occasional rustle of small creatures and the distant crow's caw. The air carries a damp, earthy scent, mingling with the faint smoke from farms left behind. You settle on the grass, letting exhaustion seep into your bones. The journey has been slow, careful, and full of unseen threats, yet somehow, you have made it this far. The messenger murmurs softly, glancing toward the east road you will resume at dawn. Richard kneels beside you, sharing a small piece of bread. Words are few, all of you are aware that safety is temporary. Still, this pause, this brief haven, offers a rare moment of reflection. You think of the city, the corruption, the guilds, and the dangers ahead. As night deepens, the forest darkens around you. The soft whispers of wind and distant hoot of an owl lull you toward sleep. Every sense remains aware, but the tension eases slightly, replaced by a gentle, meditative calm. Here, at the edge of the woodland, under the protective canopy of trees and fading light, the world slows. The journey continues tomorrow, but for now, you rest, safe, alert, and ready for what awaits.